Let's get it. 580 Sports Talk coming at you on a Friday. We've made it to the end of the week. Glad you're with us for this edition of 580 Sports Talk.
What was that inflection?
What was what inflection?
Friday.
Yeah, I was going to say something.
Who's ready for sports on a Friday?
Come on. It wasn't that Bay, was it?
Oh, maybe not that much, but it wasn't too far.
Brendan threw a little bit more on
Make
it.
me sound like I was doing an Oprah thing.
When I was in
Free cars.
This is going to make a whole lot about me make sense. My senior year of high school, I did our morning announcements.
Yeah.
I remember I had a bunch of friends who did theater. A lot of overlap between radio kids and theater kids at my high school. I'm sure that's believable. And so every year they would put on one big musical. And our senior year, it was Hairspray. And I figured when I would go in and do the announcements, I would really play it up. And I would say, all right, guys, coming up on Friday, the first showing of Hairspray. And I would do that. So I did it like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday that week. I show up in my radio class, and a really good friend of mine who was like the tech director for the play or whatever gets right in my face. It's like, hey, the theater kids don't like that you do that. It's like, Colin, I got to be honest with you, buddy. I love you, dude, but that just makes me want to do it more.
Right? Yeah. Well, your reaction to me being excited that it's Friday makes you want to do that less. So get ready for some very deadpan hourly introductions the rest of this Friday. That was a feel-good Friday.
It is
and
a
now I feel
Friday.
bad.
We're feeling good.
It's a feel-bad Friday for me now.
It wasn't bad. I was just surprised. That's all. I had not heard that sound come from you before.
That rabble-rouser is Brendan Brzezinski. Our producer-engineer today is Spencer Dupuis. I'm Dan Lucero. The gang's all here for this Friday edition of 580 Sports Talk. And we're glad you're here with us on 580 WIBW, FM 104.9. And 580 WIBW online worldwide on this Friday edition. You can watch the video stream as well. If you'd like to watch along, we appreciate you doing so on YouTube. 580 Sports Talk is the YouTube channel. Subscribe today and be a part of the program in the YouTube live chat. We love to hear from you. Also can comment on the Facebook page, WIBW News on Facebook, and on Twitter, 580 Sports Talk on Twitter. 3 ways to watch the show. You can comment, interact with us any way you choose there. You can also hit us up on the Top City Metal Supply text line. That's open for business today. 785-272-9429 is the Top City Metal Supply text line. No more wasting money on metal pieces that will leave you with unnecessary leftovers. Top City Metal Supply cuts exact lengths of aluminum, steel, and stainless steel, tailored to your project's specifications. Start optimizing your budget with Top City Metal Supply on South Topeka Boulevard, just north of Forbes Field.
Hey, guys, we are hilarious.
We are hilarious. Crystal says we're hilarious on Facebook. That's good enough for me. 1 out of 1 Facebook commenters named Crystal think we are funny. So if she thinks so, I'm sure there are others.
That's 100%. Well. That's like when I used to tell my friends that KU was a top 10 football team, and they'd say, "Really?" I say, "Well, top 10 in the Big 10 or in the Big 12." Because there were only 10 teams in the league.
I used to wonder.
1 of 1 women named Crystal think we're hilarious. 100% approval rating.
Used to wonder about those like 4 out of 5 dentists recommend like Trident or whatever for chewing gum. What did the 5th dentist say? Was the 5th dentist like, nah, double bubble's fine? Or was he like a quack? Would he say like, you know what, chew bacon instead? That's just as good for your teeth.
No, he preferred Crest.
We're talking about gum.
Oh, I thought you were talking about
Trident gum.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm not there.
4 out of 5, and choosy mothers choose Jif and all that stuff. Those are very old commercials, washed references from the old member of the 580 Sports.
We apparently weren't choosy because we had Skippy at home.
I'm still a Jif guy.
Same. I am a Jif guy.
To this day.
I had to be a Skippy guy there for a minute when Jif had their little problems a couple of years ago, a year or 2 ago.
Nah, you just got to be a real baller, and, you're built different. You don't have to worry about, like, listeria or whatever. Yeah. No, that's why I kept eating Bluebell ice cream. I'm built different.
I don't remember Jif having problems. I don't recall that.
We got lots of sports to talk about today, and we're 30 minutes shorter than usual. We are with you until 5:30 today when we'll make way for the Royals Baseball Network. The final series before the All-Star break for the Royals. They're in Boston at Fenway Park. First pitch tonight at 6:10. So we will get out of the way at 5:30 and hand things off to the Royals Baseball Network. So with 30 fewer minutes, we've got a jam-packed show here today on 580 Sports Talk. We're going to talk some Royals baseball. Grades at the midterm, though it's not really the midterm. The Padres will have played 99 games before the All-Star break.
Gee.
That's 61% of their games
a lot.
will have already been played. The Royals will have played 97 games, I believe it is. So, yeah, it's not exactly the midway point. We talked about the midway point, but this is always sort of feels like a turning point in the season, the All-Star break. So we have some first-half grades from David Schoenfeld of ESPN to chew on, and we'll discuss what have we liked about the first half for the Royals, biggest surprise, biggest disappointment, and have we changed expectations for the Royals significantly enough that not making the playoffs at this point would feel like a failure? We'll discuss that. Plus, an old favorite needs a new team. Is it time to bring two-hit Whit back to Kansas City? We'll discuss.
He's been barely one-hit Whit recently.
Yeah, if he'd been two-hit Whit, the Phillies would have found a way to keep him on their roster. But no, Whit Merrifield released by the Phillies today. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. We are going to talk plenty of football today, plenty of Big 12 football. You've got a coach from the Mountain West accusing Kansas State of trying to poach his quarterback with a big NIL bag. And I don't know how true that is, but the fact that that's out there and some of the other things regarding NIL in Kansas State, I think make one thing about Kansas State and their ambitions in the new Big 12 crystal clear. So we'll make fun of Jay Norvell a little bit, but I think it speaks to a broader point about what Kansas State believes is possible for them in this new Big 12 conference. We will also conclude our drafts of the best players in the Big 12 conference. We've done a quarterback draft. Yesterday, we did a running back draft. Today, we will do a pass catcher draft. We're going to draft 5 pass catchers each. One of them has to be a tight end, and we will do that later on in the 4 o'clock hour. We're going to talk some NFL football as well today. Our friends at Sports Illustrated, including friend of the program, our NFL insider, Matt Derrick, assigned the next 5 Super Bowl champions, decided to pick who was going to win each of the next 5 Super Bowls. Not specifically, this year will be this team, and next year will be next year's team. 5 years, 5 Super Bowls, who's going to win those Super Bowls? Order doesn't matter. Who's going to win the next 5 Super Bowls? I thought that sounded like a fun exercise, so we're going to steal it. And we're going to do it at the top of the 3 o'clock hour. We're going to figure out who we think is going to win the next 5 Super Bowls. Are the Chiefs going to win a Super Bowl in the next 5 years? Are they going to win all the Super Bowls in the next 5 years? They have won all the Super Bowls in the last 2 years. 2 out of 2 Super Bowls played in the last 2 years.
I'm going to tell you this right now, just as a little preview of this segment. Matt Derrick, smarter than many of his coworkers who picked the Lions. Have you ever watched football?
Yeah, picking the Lions to win the Super Bowl is a pretty wild take, right? Though he did pick the Bills. And that's
true.
Similarly tilting at windmills a little bit.
Greg Bishop of Sports Illustrated picked the Lions to win twice. Why are you taunting God? That is taunting the creator at that point. Don't do that.
Speaking of the current Super Bowl champions, Matt Derrick, our Chiefs insider from ChiefsDigest.com, is going to join the program at the bottom of the 3 o'clock hour. We'll get Matt's thoughts on how many Super Bowls are possible the next 5 years and some other great topics as well. We'll come up with to chat about with Matt at the bottom of the 3 o'clock hour.
Days are we till the start of training camp now?
We are, I think, like 4 days. Rookies and QBs, that's like the NFL version of pitchers and catchers.
Yeah.
Rookies and QBs report the 16th, I believe it is.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
Yeah, that's next Tuesday.
Feels like it's really come upon us.
I think it's full roster on the 23rd, I think.
I think that's right.
I believe that's
Then when do the teams that play, I feel like, is it tomorrow when the teams that play in the Hall of Fame game have
you
their
might be right
players
about
report?
I think you might be right. Yeah, we're right there. We're right on top of the start of training camp. Remember when we used to beg the Royals to make it to training camp? They did. They made it to training camp this year. The Royals were interesting to training camp. And we will preview their significant series against the Red Sox. The Royals enter today 1 game behind Boston for the final wild card spot in the American League. We'll preview the series tonight a little bit later on. Plus all the stuff you've come to know and love from a Friday edition of 580 Sports Talk. We'll play a game of Change My Mind, ask for some mea culpas, and on second thought, we will crown a weekly What Is Wrong With You champion. We do have an update on the Matthew Pancake story. That is...
You'll love it.
Yeah. It went national today. Like, it blew up. today. I saw it all over the Twitter timeline. So we were early adopters.
We're ahead of the curve.
We hopped on the Matthew pancake train pretty early, but we have an update there. We got sports headlines top of the 5 o'clock hour, and again, we are done at 5:30 today for Royals baseball. Hit us to the YouTube live chat. Text us on the Top Emails Play. Text line 785-272-9429. Let's start with the Royals. David Schoenfeld, ESPN.com, handed out first half grades for all 30 major league teams. 4 teams get A's. The Phillies, the Orioles, the Guardians, the Brewers. There's 1 A-, and that belongs to the Kansas City Royals. This is what Schoenfeld writes, though, about the Royals. It does feel like things are starting to slip away after the Royals peaked at 39-26 in early June. Point of contention there. That was not their peak. Their peak was 34-19. The Royals have been as many as 15 games over the 500 mark this year. They are currently 8 games over at 51-43. Anyway, continuing with Schoenfeld. They've struggled since then, other than winning 3 of 4 against the Guardians at the end of June. It's not exactly a two-man show, but sometimes it does seem that way, with Bobby Witt Jr. having an MVP-caliber season and Seth Lugo perhaps the American League Cy Young favorite. Salvador Perez and Vinny Pasquantino have been big contributors, but the Royals will need more from the rest of the lineup, and adding a couple of relievers is a must. Here's a fun fact for you. It will be fascinating to see where Witt ends up. He's already at 5 wins above replacement, giving him a shot to challenge George Brett's single-season franchise best for a position player. George Brett was worth 9.4 wins above replacement in his 1980 MVP season.
Wow.
So, yeah, Bobby Witt Jr. could end up, when all is said and done, with the most valuable season, according to wins above replacement, in Royals history. That's a big name to be challenging in the annals of Royals baseball.
Holds a little more value when you talk about that, too. Consider it like 1980, dudes were full-time professional baseball player for the most part. That's the thing about wins above replacement is it's, for one season, wins above replacement for Bobby Witt. He has 5 wins above a 2024 replacement level player. If you're saying, man, this is the best team season since 1932. Well, you know what a replacement level player in 1932 was? Working 3 jobs.
Yeah. Clocking out at the box factory at noon after working a graveyard shift and then showing up at 1:05 to try and hit Walter Johnson's fastball.
And then after that, working a few shifts at the cannery. Like that's what those dudes were doing. Those dudes didn't lift. Like it was a big deal when NFL players started lifting in the 70s or late 60s, whatever it was. Like that's the difference. So to say wins above replacement for a guy who played 80 years ago, okay, great relative to era, but it's hard to weigh that against what you're seeing today. George Brett in any era of baseball ever would be one of the greatest pure hitters the sport has ever seen. That carries a lot of weight for Bobby Witt. I think overall, I understand where David Schoenfeld is coming with the take that it feels like things are starting to slip away. I don't think I would say that things are slipping away, though. I think we have seen and experienced both understandable and obvious regression to the mean in some categories. Some of the guys who were hitting tons. Michael Garcia with what was it, like 4 home runs in the first 3 weeks of the season or whatever it was.
First week of the season.
Yeah,
came out gangbusters.
That was not going to happen. I think some of the starting pitching has still been really good, but it hasn't been completely flawless. The bullpen obviously was nails for about 3 to 4 weeks or so in May. It has obviously petered out quite a bit. So I don't think I would call this slipping away. It's not like all of a sudden Bobby Witt has hit a wall. It's not all of a sudden like, Vinny P is not producing and bringing anybody home. That's not what's happening with this team. I think they clearly were playing above their overall talent level during the first half of the season, and now you need to supplement that. If you didn't make a single change to this team for the Royals, they're still going to finish over 500, I think. Maybe not by a ton, but I think they will still finish over 500. But you're at a spot now where we've seen what we can be. We have also seen where our biggest weaknesses are over the last month or so. We know what we need to supplement that. So I think I understand where he's coming from, but it's a little bit too harsh to say it feels like it's slipping away.
Bill Self, and I'm sorry to mix cross sports here with my metaphors, but this is something that Bill Self famously refers to often, is the concept of water finding its level. Team comes out and shoots 68% from three in the first half. That doesn't bother Bill Self so much unless his team's giving up a bunch of open threes, because chances are that's not going to keep happening. They're going to come back down to earth a little bit. And their number at the end of the game might look really good, but in the second half, they're probably not going to shoot 68% again. Water tends to find its level over time.
And I feel like that's bound to happen.
And
like,
that's
what team can do that for the whole season? Like, has there ever been a baseball team that can continually do what they did the entire season?
Yes, the 2001 Seattle Mariners.
But
I meant like,
but the thing about that is
23
eventually
years.
they did collapse.
Yeah.
They lost in the playoffs. They lost in
They
the
didn't even make it to the championship series.
No, they did. They lost to the Yankees in the ALCS.
I thought they lost in the DS.
No, they beat the White Sox in the division series, and I believe they lost the championship series to the Yankees. But like, I don't mean to be snarky.
Like the
there, but
98
like
Braves.
that team won 116 games, right? Like,
tied for the most ever.
Yes, like it is very rare. Winning 100 games is hard. Winning 100 games a year after you've won 56 games, even harder. So for the Royals to have played like a 104-win team in their first 53 games, that was the pace they were on when they started 34-19. They had an 8-game winning streak. They won their first 2 games in Tampa there at the end, toward the end of May, and they were on a 104-win pace. To have felt at the time like, yeah, they're going to come back to the mean here. There's going to be some regression. I think that was a natural thing to expect. And since then, they are 17-24. So that's a 41-game span where they played like a 67-win team, which is a little bit more like what Vegas or the Pacoda or Zips projections, name your favorite projection system here, maybe thought they were going to be. So which is it? The 104-win team over 53 games, the 41-win team, or the 67-win team in their last 41 games? Or do you just make the whole data size larger and say they play 94 games like an 88-win team? Which feels more like reality to you? To me, it's the big sample size. It's the one in the middle. That is what this Royals team to me has felt like, because they've played a tougher schedule lately. They've had a little bit of an ebb in terms of their results. Like I said, 17-24 in their last 41 games. But to me, that's not slipping away. That's just the larger sample, bringing the Royals back to the mean a little bit. They were never a 104-win team, but can they be an 88-win team as presently constructed? That's a little bit more attainable. And again, when they were really hot early, we kept looking at their run differential and saying, look, like this is a real thing. When you're outscoring your opponent by as much as the Royals are, when you have a positive run differential the way that the Royals did, that supports your win-loss record if it matches. The Royals are actually now underperforming their run differential by 3 games. They are 54-40 according to PyTag. They have a run differential of, quick back of the napkin math here, 63 runs, 432 to 371 is, I guess that's not 29, 32. Yeah, 63. That is their run differential. 63 runs in their 94 games. So they have actually underperformed what their runs and their run differential would suggest. So I am confident going into the All-Star break, this is a team that is built right now with no adjustments to be a team that lands in the mid-80s in wins and contends all the way to the end for a wild card spot. Winning one of those wild card spots, I think, is going to take some improvement on the periphery of the roster. I'm in favor of them adding a reliever. I would love to see them be aggressive about adding a third baseman with some team control who can help the Royals in 2024 and beyond. But right now, what we've seen over 94 games with 1 weekend left before the All-Star break, what we have seen is real. This is a contender for a playoff spot in the American League. And that is a hell of an accomplishment for J.J. Piccolo, for Matt Quatrero, and for these players.
It is, yeah. And I think overall, if you wanted to say, yeah, through 90 whatever games, just beyond the halfway point, the Royals should get an A or an A- for what they've been able to accomplish. And frankly, the fact that they have kept it up as long as they have, given how many holes the roster still has. The bullpen has weaknesses. The lineup obviously has weaknesses. Hell, the other night when Michael Wacha was struggling, David Lesky, who we've had on the program before, who's as good as anybody when it comes to writing about the Royals, he said he thinks the Royals need a starter. Which would be bold. Obviously.
I mean, I think every team probably needs 6, and I don't like the Royals' 6th starter right now is Daniel Lynch. And, if he needs to cover a lengthy spell, if somebody gets hurt, yeah, that could be problematic. The Royals have been very fortunate that they have only needed 5 starts outside of their starting rotation this year. And one of those was Dan Altavilla as an opener. So they've had very good fortune when it comes to health. If that fortune were to turn the wrong way and Daniel Lynch has to make a bunch of starts, then things could get a little bit dodgy. But I think that with, like we talked about yesterday, with their limited resources, they're better served focusing on the things that would be more substantial, immediate upgrades like the bullpen and third base. Let's go around the horn here real quick with some quick trigger takes on the quote unquote first half of this Royal season. What has been, we'll start with you, Spencer. What has been the biggest surprise for the Royals of this first half?
I think it's got to be Seth Lugo, right? I mean, what he's been able to do right out of the gate. And then, obviously ebbs and flows. What he's continued to do with his ERA has just been crazy. And I think that that's something that maybe the Royals weren't necessarily expecting to be as good as he has been. He was the first 10-game winner in the AL, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right.
Yep.
Leads the league in wins right now. He's 11-3 with a 2.21 ERA. And there is no way in the world the Royals expected those numbers. They gave him a pretty penny to be a mid-rotation guy and stabilize things, but to be an all-star,
exactly,
to be a Cy Young candidate, that has been a very pleasant surprise for the Royals. What about you, Brendan? What's been the biggest surprise of this first half?
I would go even more macro and just say the starting pitching in general. Like I figured Lugo would be fine and usable. I figured Waka would be fine and usable, and I expected a lot of greatness from Cole Reagans. But I mean, Brady Singer, despite not having great peripherals, has been really good. He doesn't go all that deep in games, which I don't like, but for the most part, the Royals have been good when he has been out there and starting. Alec Marsh, for being your 5th starter, if you want to just look at his line, his back of the baseball card, 4.57 ERA, that's effectively a quality start every time out. A quality start, 3 runs or fewer in 6 innings or more. If you went 3 in 6 every single time, you'd have a 4.50 ERA. That's your 5th starter. His fielding independent numbers are about the same. He has been more than fine as your number 5. Waka has been about what I expected. Seth Lugo has been light years beyond what I thought he would be. So I think I would just take the starting pitching as a whole and just how dominant it's been.
Yeah, it's hard to argue that that's been the big surprise, to go from what it was last year to what it has been this year. And I think the Royals have probably gotten much more than they bargained for from Lugo, but even more maybe than they bargained for from Michael Waka and his 3.83 earned run average. I think they viewed those guys as stabilizers, and I think they've outpitched that to this point. And when you add in Singer returning to, at the very least, returning to his 2022 form, then what you have and what you've had for the Royals has been one of the best rotations 1 through 5 in all of baseball. All right, let's go in reverse order. Biggest disappointment of the first half. I'll start. I really thought the second half last season was a sign of things to come for MJ Melendez, and he just has not gotten it rolling. Still hitting just 191, a 634 OPS. Does have the 10 home runs, is a much improved defender, but still waiting for that light to turn on for him at the plate. Still waiting for him to stop swinging through fastballs, hittable fastballs in hittable locations. I really thought that his second half was so excellent last year that I thought that was going to springboard him into potentially a big 2024. And I mean, he might hit 20 home runs, and that's not nothing, but just not the level of production I was hoping to get in year 3 from MJ Melendez. What about you, Brendan?
Yeah, I think he's on there. I mean, my expectations for him were really low going into the year. Now, he did have a good first couple weeks of the season. He's probably there. This seems maybe nitpicky because he's not even on the big league club at the moment. Nelson Velasquez has been a major disappointment for me. I thought you would get a little bit more than a 640 OPS out of him. He actually had, I mean, he's a guy who is supposed to hit for power. You should be getting tons of home runs and doubles out of him. His OPS plus is effectively the same as both Michael Garcia and MJ Melendez, who have been bad over the course of the year, all things considered. So I'd probably go with Nelly. I really thought he was going to lock himself in as an everyday guy. Never going to be a big average hitter, but that's been disappointing from him.
How about you, Spencer? Biggest disappointment?
I was going to go there, but I'll change mine to Mikel Garcia. It seemed like there was so much promise for him this spring training, and Matt Quintero talked about it, about what he went through in fall and winter ball and how much improvement he saw. I think there's been some improvement, but I mean, in the last 30 games, he's hitting 155.
Yeah, and especially with him being at the top of the order, they have needed a lot more from him than they've got. Defense has still been really good. He's taken to second base just fine after a midseason position switch, which is not an easy thing to handle. But yeah, especially given the way he came out of the gate, it felt like, oh man, this could be a guy who makes a big leap forward. And unfortunately, it hasn't happened. All right, favorite moment of the first half. Brendan, you start.
Man, favorite moment.
Lot to choose from. This team's had a lot of walk-off wins.
Yeah, they really
a lot
have.
of walk-offs and come from behind wins.
I might go. Oh God, the one. I mean, I know they only took one against the Yankees, so that seems like kind of a funky one to pick. But that was a very satisfying win.
And they needed it.
They walked
to
him off,
avoid being swept, and that was Garcia coming out with a big hit there, the 2-run double there in the ninth.
You know, in fact, I am going to pick that game because even though that one and then the one they won against the Dodgers 2 games later, that was in the midst of their worst stretch of the entire season. I mean, they lost 4 in a row before they beat the Yankees. In total, they won 2 out of 11, I think, during that stretch, 2 out of 10 maybe. But something I've talked about with this team all year is avoiding the spiral. It's avoiding spiraling completely out of control and becoming a lost cause. And those games did that. The walk-off against New York in the series finale in Kansas City, winning at least one against the Dodgers. They were competitive in the first game of that series, too. I think those are the things that stand out. And that's what I was hoping for this year. Not necessarily a playoff team, just to be able to avoid the disasters.
All right, Spencer, what's been your favorite Royals moment of this first half?
Probably taking 3 out of 4 against the Guardians at the end of June after the tough stretch they went through in the middle of June. To end it on a good streak, a good way against a division opponent that's leading your division to get a chunk of it at the time that they needed. 3 out of 4.
Yeah.
And showed, I think, in that game or in those games that they belong on the same field.
Yes.
Like it was a big, I think, confidence boost for the ball club to show that they're just as good as that Cleveland team. And over the course of 162 games, they keep their noses to the grindstone. They got a chance to run them down. I'll give you 2 real fast. Number 1, the 8-0 comeback to beat the Mariners.
That's a good one.
That 10-9 win. They scored the 3 runs in the 9th to complete the comeback. I'll remember that one fondly because that was the day after my son was born. So I was still in the hospital and watching that game at the hospital. It felt like a fever dream. Like I had gotten no sleep. So, like, I had to convince myself what I was seeing on television was actually happening. And, Bobby Witt with the game-tying triple there in the 9th. It was an electrifying day at the K. But I'll go back a little bit earlier to a moment as well. Early May in Los Angeles, the Royals playing the Angels, getting blanked for 8 innings, trailing 1-0. And then Adam Frazier, of all people, pops a go-ahead home run off of Carlos Estevez, the Angels closer, to win that game 2-1. Any team can have a good month. And the Royals had a very good start to the year, very solid April. But that game was the one that convinced me, like, this is the kind of thing that this is the kind of win good teams get. Where the lesser lights dig a game out of the mud in the 9th inning, and you find a way to get one like that. That was the game that convinced me that maybe there was something to this hot start that could make it more than just a hot start. And now here we are sitting in the All-Star break, more than halfway through the season. And yeah, it's been more than a hot start. This is a team that's really for real in contention. Mark in the YouTube live chat says Isbell's amazing catch the other night. Oh gosh, who was that against? It was a great play. Tampa.
Yeah,
that was Tampa Bay on Wednesday. Yeah, unbelievable catch. One of the great defensive plays of the year. Paul submits MJ's sonic slam against the Dodgers, put the game away, won someone $25,000. That, I think, is the best at bat of the season so far.
Yeah.
Like, we were handing those out. I would call that the best at bat of the year by far. Lots more to get to regarding the Royals. We'll talk about them more at the bottom of the 4 o'clock hour. Preview the series against the Red Sox. Ask if the Royals should seriously consider bringing back Whit Merrifield. His numbers are not good. Neither are any of the guys who play the positions that Whit Merrifield plays. Is it going to be a conversation? We're just asking questions. We'll talk about it later on the show. But first, we'll take our first break. We'll come back, play a game of Change My Mind. That's coming up from the Kansas Drive to Zero studio. We're just getting going on this Friday on 580 Sports Talk. 2:38 on 580 Sports Talk. We're just getting started on this Feel Good Friday. Dan, Spencer, and Brendan with you. I've been on autopilot with Trenton, who is, again, in the Great White North on vacation, our summer intern, that I keep having to remind myself not to say his name. He'll be back. We look forward to that.
It's okay, too, because I'm in and out all the time, so you're probably going to mess that up, too.
Oh, sure. Like, this is the cast, but not everybody appears in every scene. That's
a good way to put it.
Yeah, that's how it may look on a future basis.
When Spencer is not on camera, everybody should be asking, where's Spencer?
Great Simpsons reference. You beating me to the Simpsons reference is an upset on
Doesn't
par.
happen often.
Yeah, it's an upset on par with Buster Douglas beating Mike Tyson. Anyway, time for a round of Change My Mind, and we're just going to talk about it here. Change my mind. The Royals should re-sign Whit Merrifield and bring him back to the big league roster.
I think that's a bad idea. I mean, I loved Whit when he was here. Whit with an H, 2-hit Whit, big hit Whit, whatever you want to call him. I loved him here. I mean, he and Salvi were the only watchable parts of the Royals for a couple of years there, and has had a great career, especially for a guy who was such a late bloomer in the majors. But after being all right in Toronto, he has been straight up bad for Philly this year. Our good pal Jeff Kerr from CBS Sports, NFL writer, he's also taken over a Phillies beat for NBC Sports in Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
So I see all sorts of Phillies stuff. And Whit's been awful all year. And he's below the Mendoza line batting average wise. He's not driving guys in. He's older. He doesn't play a premium position defensively normally. And the way things ended when he left, I know he and Bobby Witt were pretty tight when Bobby first came up, but the way it ended with Merrifield was just so uncomfortable and weird.
Yeah, I never got over Merrifield essentially saying, because you may recall, and this was in the middle of when this was the hot button non-sports debate topic on the planet, was we were talking a lot about vaccines, and then there were a bunch of Royals players who could not go play in Toronto. It was this time 2
years ago.
Yes, because right before the All-Star break, 4 games in Toronto. There were still some regulations in Canada. You could not enter the country if you had not received a COVID-19 vaccine, and there were like a dozen Royals players and personnel, maybe more, who didn't make the trip. And Whit Merrifield was one of those. And look, I'm not going to relitigate that debate. I do not have the energy or the time for it. But when Merrifield essentially said to the media, it didn't feel like it was worth his while to get the vaccine. But if we were contending, if these games meant something, maybe I would have. That was essentially what he said. Like, I'm paraphrasing, but that was the message that we got from Merrifield, that he would have made sure he was there for his team if his team had been worth being there for. And then, of course, who did he get traded to at the deadline? Toronto,
the Blue Jays,
a team in the playoff mix, and he went and got that jab post haste.
And
so that really rubbed me the wrong way, and I did not like how it ended. That being said, Whit Merrifield in 53 games this year is hitting 199 with a 277 on base and a 295 slug. That stinks. Nick Lofton is hitting 197 with a 297 on base and a 252 slug. And Adam Frazier's hitting 206 with a 289 on base and a 290 slug. So what Whit Merrifield would give the Royals is not anything worse than what they're getting from guys in his position. What you would also get from Merrifield, doesn't strike out a lot, and he can still run. He's 11 for 12 stealing bases. He's got that versatility. He would be well respected by the big dog in the clubhouse now, Bobby Witt Jr. I don't know. I think it might be worth exploring the idea, maybe seeing if he'd sign a minor league deal, give him some run at Omaha, and then if an injury opened up, maybe he could come back to the big league club. Like I think
that scenario would be more palatable to me. Just, the comparison there, you think of Adam, because the question would be, okay, well, who are you getting rid of to bring Whit Merrifield on? And, okay, say it's Adam Frazier. Frazier's been there this year. I know he's not like an all-time Royal, but he's been in the clubhouse. He's been with the guys. I think there is some value to that. And look, maybe if you polled the guys who are in the clubhouse right now, they might say, nah, man, we love Whit Merrifield. Like, that sucked. And we were miffed at him, but hey,
we got over
the bridge.
Water under the bridge. Yeah.
And if that's the case, then it is not my place to say he doesn't deserve that spot there. I just feel like with the chemistry this team has built, the vibe this team has built, it might make more sense to just say, hey, that's in the past. thanks for the memories. In 2 years or whenever you retire, come throw out the first pitch a couple of times, once a year, but we're good. That's how I would approach it. And I love the dude. I love his game and all that, but
yeah, in his there is a lot of black ink on his baseball reference page. He led the league in games played 3 straight years, at bats 3 straight years, hits twice, doubles once, triples twice, stolen bases 3 times. 3-time All-Star, including last year. He was an All-Star.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
He had some really nice cards in MLB The Show last year.
Minor league deal, maybe worth exploring. I don't know that you bring him right back to the big club. Spencer, what do you think?
I say no. The only reason I'm saying this is I agree with what Brennan said about the vibe of the club right now. I would only bring somebody on if we know for a fact there's going to be an improvement, and we don't know for a fact because they all are around the same level.
I will say this too, though. There's not really anybody kicking down the door at AAA that does what Merrifield does. It's not like they've got a guy where he'd be jumping the line, so to speak. I would not be surprised, to be honest with you, whether you've changed my mind or not. I would not be surprised if he would unclaimed through waivers, if he and the Royals worked out something where he would go report to Omaha.
I will say this, and not that it's a moot point because he's not employed by the Royals anymore. If Dayton Moore was still the GM, he would play tomorrow. If Dayton Moore was still the
start
general,
in left field tomorrow.
Yes,
tomorrow in Boston.
That would happen without question. And that's the other thing too. That would make me wonder, not as much should it, but more would it happen, is if JJ Piccolo would just want to say, hey, look, that's a Dayton thing. That's a GM DM thing. Again, thanks. He worked for the Royals throughout Merrifield's whole career there. But if he just says, hey, clean break, like new era, forget the old stuff.
We'll take a break, come back, talk about what Colorado State's football coach had to say about Kansas State trying to snipe their quarterback. What's that all about? We'll tell you next on 580 Sports Talk. Couple of thoughts from the YouTube comments regarding Whit Merrifield, released by the Phillies today. I posited perhaps a reunion with the Royals might make some kind of sense. Mark says, I like Whit Merrifield, but the Royals moved on from him for a reason. That is certainly true. Joe makes the most important point here on the YouTube live chat. Whit versus Whit makes me angry. Having two Whits at the same time, that is deeply confusing. And the portman, no, it's not a portmanteau, but what I don't know what word I'm looking for. Calling Bobby Witt Jr. BWJ, that's just kind of clunky.
Awful. Yeah. Terrible. We as a sports...
like Twitter, you can like tweet it and text it's fine, but to say it out loud doesn't really work.
We as a sports society need to stop just giving every player with a hyphenated last name or a junior a 3-letter initial as a nickname. Yeah. We got to stop. Remember when someone called Clyde Edwards-Helaire CEH in a press conference and Andy Reid said, who is that?
Yeah.
Like, who?
I do remember that.
Clyde. Oh, and he gave like a 3-word answer to the question.
Yeah. Shorten, when you've only got 280 characters, CEH is fine. But like, it's so clunky to say aloud. Anyway, Mountain West Conference football media day is going on in Las Vegas this week, and Colorado State coach Jay Norvell has made some waves. Yesterday, he suggested that schools were trying to poach his star wide receiver, Torrey Horton, by convincing him to go into the transfer portal. And Horton is an awesome player, 96 balls, 1,136 yards, 8 TDs last year. Mm-hmm. And Norvell mentioned Kansas State as a school that offered him $600,000 to transfer. Today, Norvell cited the same dollar figure and the same school, but for a very different player, his quarterback, Braden Fowler-Nicolosi, who's only a sophomore and won the job as a true freshman last year. Here's what Jay Norvell said up at the podium today.
Braden had the same kind of offers, and you can't, if you have enough evidence, you can prove it, but smoking gun. He said, guy from Kansas State called him, offer him $600,000 because they lost their quarterback. And if he got in the portal, and I'm not accusing Kansas State of anything, I'm just telling you what the kid told me. And so they don't want their name thrown in it. I think they should probably get a handle on their people, but there's a lot of that going on in college football, and that's just the way things are right now.
It is very funny to say, I'm not accusing them of anything, but I'm going to repeat verbatim someone else accusing them of something.
I'm just going to name drop them like that.
They better get a handle on their people. Vaguely threatening language there from Norvell.
My K-State fans all day have been like, oh, you're still sour, because he was an assistant at Texas and for a long time at Oklahoma, as well as at Nebraska.
And I was also the head coach at Nevada, who lost to K-State a couple of years back. Uh-huh. My first thought is either Norvell got confused and attributed the same school to his quarterback as he did to his wide receiver, or maybe he got okey-doked by his quarterback. Maybe his quarterback, he said, I'm just telling you what the kid told me. Well, maybe the kid came to you and said, hey, this school's offering me $600,000 to transfer. Price of the brick going up, coach. Maybe that was the message from Fowler-Nicolosi more so than a real offer, because, look, Kansas State is not offering somebody a $600,000 NIL package to be their backup quarterback. They've got their guy. And I don't know what they're paying Avery Johnson in NIL.
I think it's over $1 million. I was listening to Fitz Daily Delivery this morning about it.
That would not surprise me if it's a 7-figure compensation package. And we already know that they've come up this summer with a 7-figure NIL package to entice Coleman Hawkins to play basketball at K-State. So broadly, what I think we're learning about Kansas State through all of this,
they got some money.
If they're willing to drop a $600,000 bag for a wide receiver who will start or a quarterback that won't, and if they've got $2 million to go give the most in-demand player in the basketball transfer portal, it becomes very clear that not only are Kansas State's intentions to be the big dogs in the Big 12, but they are putting their money where their mouth is.
It's also an interesting turn, maybe turn's a little bit strong, but it's an interesting refocusing of resources when you consider that K-State, and we've talked to Fitz about this tons of times, we've heard Chris Kleiman talk about it, they want to use those resources for player retention. And that is generally about keeping the guys you have, at least for football. Basketball is such a different beast with the portal and with NIL funding and all of that. So it would be quite an about face to say, well, we're going to use some of it for player retention still, but also we're going to go swing for the big fish. I, for what it's worth, don't have a problem with that approach. I mean, you do what you do, and if you can get great talent, you go get great talent. Torrey Horton's a great talent. He's a stud. If he was at a bigger program, I think he'd be a star in college football.
He'd be wide receiver 1 on all but maybe 2 or 3 teams in the Big 12.
Yeah, he's really dang good player.
Including Kansas State, for what it's worth.
The point that Jay Norvell made there about maybe they should keep their people in line, and of course, I've seen the stupid rivalry stuff on Twitter about how, isn't this tampering? Isn't that against the rules? I mean, yeah, in a perfect society, everyone would follow the rules and everything would be hunky-dory, but let's be completely real here, guys. Everybody is doing this. Everybody is doing this. And don't give me my school isn't, because the ironic thing is, for years, and I've always been on this train, my school doesn't recruit. Yeah, and Bruce Weber got fired. Like that, or doesn't, cheat in recruiting. Yeah, Bruce Weber got canned. Like you had Jim Woldridge, like all these bad coaches. Suddenly, Jerome Tangstaff's ponying up in basketball. You just landed Coleman freaking Hawkins, who was all Big Ten this past year. You might be making plays for these big names. And I'm not trying to say anything specifically about K-State, because KU is doing it, Oklahoma State is doing it, Utah, everybody is doing it. And if you're Jay Norvell, hey man, it sucks. The system is brutal for you and your caliber of school, but that's just the way the business is. Go blame the NCAA. Go blame your bosses.
You can see that K-State's willing to turn on the NIL money cannon, and that's a belief that they can be the big dog in the Big 12. We're going to predict the next 5 Super Bowl champions in the Kansas Drive to Zero studio in the next hour, 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. Hour number 2, 580 Sports Talk. Friday edition of the program. Dan Lucero, Brendan Wierzinski, and Spencer Dupuis with you this afternoon. Taking you up to Royals baseball pregame at 5:30. First pitch at 6:10 from the Fens as the Royals and Red Sox play a crucial American League wild card race series. First of 3 tonight. Cole Reagan's the all-star on the bump for KC, going up against TBA for the Red Sox. Probably Cooper Criswell. I don't know if they've made that official yet. Sounds like he's going to come up from the minor leagues, come off the injured list, and pitch tonight for Boston. That is the anticipation, and I have now seen that confirmed by multiple sources on Twitter. So Cooper Criswell is your starting pitcher for the Red Sox tonight. Again, 5:30 pregame here on the Royals Baseball Network, your home for Royals Baseball, 580 WIBW and FM 104.9. Appreciate you listening. Appreciate you catching the video stream, if indeed you are today. 580 Sports Talk on YouTube. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. All it costs you is a click. You get access to our live streams, our video archives, notifications when we do go live, and the ability to watch the show live and be a part of the live chat as well. We love seeing the live chat going on the YouTube. You can also comment on Twitter, 580 Sports Talk, watch the feed, and on Facebook, WIBW News, and watch the feed as well. Top Signal Supply text line open for business, 785-272-9429. Still to come on the program, Matt Derrick, our Chiefs insider from ChiefsDigest.com, is going to join us at the bottom of this hour. We're also going to draft Big 12 pass catchers, continuing our skill player drafts in the Big 12 that we've done throughout the last couple of weeks. And later on, we will preview the Royals-Red Sox series, and we'll crown a weekly champion on What Is Wrong With You. But we start this 3 o'clock hour with some NFL chat.
Can we actually start real quick? We have an update from north of the border.
Oh, we do?
We do. We have our daily Trenton Kraxner update.
Yeah, where in the world is Trenton Kraxner?
So Trenton just texted us a picture of a gigantic burger.
Okay.
See, well, it's more of a melt, really, than a burger. It's got a huge knife here stuck in it. He says, we went to the zoo this morning. Family took the pictures, but I tried this challenge burger at the restaurant we ate at, and I got about halfway done with it. This picture does not do it justice.
It looks like is that a steak or maybe a pork chop?
Yeah, it looks like there's something on top of
and
it.
a fried egg. I can see that there's bacon and lots of cheese on the burger.
Is that fried Spam?
It could be.
Boy, I hope not. Now, I wouldn't want to try it if that was what it was.
Some countries love Spam.
Yes.
I don't know if Canada's one of them, though.
The United States of Dan is not here for the Spam. Let me tell you.
I would also not eat Spam.
This comes a day after he tried poutine fries.
I would have tried that.
Yeah, I'd try poutine. Yeah, for sure. I would try it. He's not a big gravy guy, it turns out. Or Spencer is not a
Spencer's
gravy guy.
guy.
Yeah.
I'm good with gravy. I don't like malt vinegar. Like you put that on something, I'm out. But gravy, I'll eat. My wife loves malt vinegar, though. She'll put that on anything. Me, I'll pass.
Interesting. All right. Well, we're glad to know Trenton is enjoying his excursion north of the border. Our summer intern will be back next week.
I asked what was on the burger, so we'll get an update on that.
Looking forward to it because I do want to know.
Yes.
It looks good.
I
but
do
yeah,
wanna
if it was
know.
Spam, I could do
looked
it.
too thick for Spam. It looked like a pork chop.
Might have been.
Like it didn't look like a steak. I wonder if it was a pork chop.
It sounded good.
Pork chop.
I had pork for lunch, actually.
Pork chop on top of a hamburger. That's a bit much for your boy.
I would try it. I don't know if I'd finish it, but I'd try it.
Yeah, Trenton didn't. So tells you there that it's a big deal. We have a couple of notes here. One in the YouTube live chat from fans, and one from the 785 and the Top Emails Fly text line, letting us know that Spam is a big deal in Hawaii.
So
yes,
it looks like
huge in
that's
Hawaii.
a sausage.
All right, we have confirmation here. So this is the burger Trenton ate today while on vacation in Winnipeg. The buns are bacon grilled cheeses, 2 8-ounce beef patties with bacon and cheese, over easy grilled egg and sausage.
Okay, yeah, that's what those are. Those are links.
Dan, you're out because it's got pickles on it.
Completely out. No pickles, please.
Yeah, no
Grilled
pickles.
onions, lettuce, tomatoes, mustard, and mayonnaise.
Save the pickles and grilled onions, and I'd eat it.
Save the mayo when I would eat it.
Grilled onions are great. Mayo's fine. I just get pickles out of my face forever and always.
I'd give that a try.
The buns are grilled cheese sandwiches. I don't know, man. That sounds like a heart attack is what that sounds like.
I would just fall asleep.
That sounds like when
rich.
KFC put out that
the double down.
Yes.
Spencer, don't even get me started. One of the biggest tragedies in modern consumer culture is that they took it away.
Did you have one?
Regularly. All the time.
Oh my God.
I tried one as well. It was like 378% of your daily recommendation of sodium.
Yeah, you could eat that and not eat for like 3 days.
I remember the first time I had one and they didn't advertise that there was a sauce on it. And I bit into it and thought, oh my God, what is this? And it's just whatever mystery sauce. But,
Trenton adds that you had to eat 2 sides to complete the burger challenge, which apparently Trenton adds has never been done. So yeah,
challenge accepted.
Yeah, he was really tilting at windmills, wasn't he?
Wow.
Oh man, I remember being that young.
We'll get a full report on Monday's show.
Looking forward to the full accounting of Trenton's trip up north. Anyway, we're gonna talk some football. Sports Illustrated did this exercise. It was orchestrated by Mitch Goldich, but the football writing staff over at Sports Illustrated, which includes our NFL insider, Matt Derrick, was asked to pick who will win the next 5 Super Bowl championships. Not in order, just of the next 5 Super Bowls, which teams are going to claim them. I think it's an interesting exercise, right? Because obviously it's hard to predict where teams are going to be in 5 years. If you had predicted in 2016 how many Super Bowls are the Chiefs going to win in the next 5 years, the smart money would have been 0. Certainly would never have thought in 7 years they'd win 3. Things can change on a dime in this league, and it's a lot about your quarterback, and it's a lot about your front office, and it's a lot about your coach. But as things currently stand right now, looking at the present and the near futures of all 32 NFL teams, who is going to win the next 5 Super Bowls? I am going to first ask this question because I'd be very surprised if none of us had a Chiefs championship, perhaps plural, on our list of the next 5. So let me start there. How many Super Bowls do the Chiefs win in the next 5 seasons?
I've got 2.
I've got 2 as well.
I also have 2. I wanted to be brave and say 3. Like, again, what we're talking about here, what you're trying to bet on, if you're looking ahead 5 years, quarterbacks, coaches, front offices, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, core groups of players like that you have right now, that's a nice thing, especially if you've got a really good young core of players. But your core, like your young players, sometimes they don't stay on your team longer than 5 years. After 4 years, you got to pay them. If you're quarterback, you might have to pay them sooner. You might just get that done and bite that bullet. But you got an elite blue chip talent who's a first round pick. You got to probably extend them rather than just picking up their 5th-year option. So they get expensive, which means you have to cut costs at other positions on the roster. The salary cap makes it really difficult. So you tend to trust the teams that, A, are good at replacing talent with more talent through the draft and free agency, finding diamonds in the rough late in the draft. So you have contributing players who don't make a lot of money early in their careers and who can contribute to your team right away, and who find bargains on the free agent market. I am describing Brett Veach down to the letter when I say that's what I mean when I'm talking about a great front office, and you trust front offices to get it done. I think that the Chiefs will be able to put together, given how adept that Veach and the rest of this Chiefs front office has shown themselves to be in regards to identifying blue chip talent, identifying diamond in the rough players in the 3rd day of the NFL draft, signing smart contracts to players, not overpaying for guys, going out and getting the guys they want at reasonable salaries, and getting steals like a Drew Tranquill, like a Charles Omenihu on a short-term deal. Screw it. The Chiefs are going to win 3 of the next 5 Super Bowls. I will say 3. I will say 3 because they're going to have the best quarterback, and they're going to have one of the best coaches, and they're going to have the best front office. And to me, that sets you up for success. Also, your quarterback is a psycho. Your quarterback is the most competitive person in the league. Your quarterback is Michael Jordan.
Yeah, I'll go against your argument there only because you can still have the best of the best of the best and somehow trip up in an AFC championship game or even a Super Bowl. It happens.
Yeah,
right? It happens.
No, I'm with you, Spencer. And I
I
Dan,
think
all
3
of
to
your
5
arguments,
is
all your arguments make sense. Sorry, Spencer, to cut you off, but logically, yes, understand all of them. But it's hard for me to bet on what would that be then? 6 championships in 10 years?
Yeah.
I can't do that.
It's unprecedented, right?
Yeah,
Like it's never been done. We're maybe flying too close to the sun here, but all I'm saying is 3 of 5. We just saw it.
Yeah,
we're in the middle of that. We just are I guess we're at the tail end of 3 titles for the Chiefs in a 5-year span. Well, and as long as Mahomes is this player, we have seen, give him a good defense, he'll win a championship. Give him not very good defense, but one that improves in the second half of the season, he'll win a championship. Give him a Hall of Fame wide receiver, he'll win a championship. Give him a bunch of bums with the dropsies at wide receiver, he'll win a championship.
Well, here's actually the funny thing about you saying it, that, the Chiefs have already done it. 1 point in favor for you. In the last 2 half decades, it's happened twice. The Patriots win, didn't appear, win, lost, won.
Yeah.
Which is just the same kind of thing that the Chiefs did.
Yeah, exactly.
5 years, 4 appearances, 3 wins.
Yeah. And then the one loss being in the conference championship game. No, the precedent is there. And I trust that front office more than I maybe trust any other front office in the game. So I've got 3 titles for the Chiefs. You guys each have 2. So, Spencer, let's start with you. Other than the Chiefs, and you've got 2 rings for the Chiefs in the next 5 years, which would be 5 for Mahomes in a 10-year stretch, which, again, is, you're talking about, again, Jordan. 3 other championships to parcel out. And, again, the years doesn't matter. The order doesn't matter. Who do you think will win a Super Bowl in the next 5 years?
See, I made my years matter.
Oh, you went for extra credit. Okay.
Yes. So I have the Chiefs winning this next Super Bowl to go back to back to back.
3 straight.
And then the next year, I have the 49ers winning with Brock Purdy's last year under his rookie cheap contract.
Okay.
Because I think they're going to be able to get another receiver because they probably will just try to pay. I don't know. I think that they could do stuff for the next year without one of the top receivers that is going to leave after this season, right?
Either Ayuk or Debo.
Yes. Then I have the Texans winning the 3rd Super Bowl.
Okay. That might be the first expensive Stroud year if they pony up, or the last cheap year if they don't.
Yeah. Then I have the Chiefs winning in 4 years.
Okay.
And then I have the Commanders winning a Super Bowl.
All right.
I think 5 years is doable from if their turnaround is legit, right?
I picked my favorite team to win one too, although I feel like they are in slightly different spots.
But 5 years from now, if everything works out, they could be in a spot where they are contending.
I like your optimism.
Outlook. Yes.
I like your optimism.
If Jalen Daniels is that guy, they're going to have an opportunity. That's just it, right? Like they are entering a window just like the Bears are, just like the Patriots are. The teams that drafted a quarterback this year, you enter a window where you've got now 4 years where the quarterback is cheap relative to what you would pay a top-level quarterback in this league. If they perform like an elite quarterback, those teams will never have a better chance with that quarterback to win a championship.
I will say the timing Spencer gave for when he gave Houston as his Super Bowl winner, that would be year 5 for Stroud. You have to pick up the 5th-year option, then you can give. Well, I assume they'll pick up the 5th-year option, then give him an extension. They'll sign him right away. You can manage the cap, though, so that the extension would go after the cheap years.
Yes. So you wouldn't have as much of a hit that first. That first year, the extension is still a quote-unquote cheap year. So cheap being relative. Yeah.
So theoretically, they could pony up the big money, but get him on an affordable deal, which is actually what the Packers are going to try to do with Jordan Love, I would imagine. Keep this coming year cheap and tack the extension on top of that.
We should note. No.
I was going to say real quick regarding what Spencer said, too. The idea that 4 years, because the Chiefs are just as much of a Super Bowl contender this year as they were last year, even more so. They have a better roster. But if you say 4 years down the road, you're probably looking at a really different Chiefs team. Because 4 years from now, so we're talking, what would that be? 24, 25, 26, talking the 2027 season. There's no guarantee Chris Jones is around for that.
No.
He might be.
Chris Jones may not be. Travis Kelce probably is not.
I would Chris Jones are you getting?
What was that?
What Chris Jones would you get at that point?
A diminished certainly.
Like,
33-year-old defensive tackles who play 80% of the snaps don't usually hold up. And he's held up incredibly, to be frank.
Like, I don't know if he's John Randall. Maybe he is.
Maybe, but hard to know. That is absolutely up in the air. You can even go beyond that. This offensive line will look a lot different. One of Humphrey or Smith is probably not going to be back in 2025. Joe Tooney is in his mid-30s, or approaching his mid-30s, and he is coming off of a significant injury, which is not a good thing for a big, bulky, strong offensive lineman. So this team could look a whole lot different. So it's an interesting bet if you wanted to go year by year to say they can essentially reset their star power and then be a contender again because they've got Mahomes and Reed.
All right. Brendan, you've got 2 titles for the Chiefs and a bit of a spoiler alert that you've picked your favorite team to win one in the next 5 years. How do you parcel them out?
I did. So I will tell you right up front, I do think Green Bay, I think Green Bay is a longer shot than, the Chiefs or the Niners or something. But I think if the Packers get it done, it'll be in the next 2 years because everybody is cheap. Mm-hmm. Everybody on the roster right now is really cheap. So the next 2 years are probably going to be the most likely if the Packers are going to win one. The other 2 teams I have, though, I'm going to go with Houston, too. That's such a trendy pick that it makes me feel like what is going to go wrong for them. But they've got the quarterback long-term. They've got all the other pieces. Collins is long-term extended. I love Tank Dell. Who knows what will happen with Diggs, but those other 2 guys can handle the mantle once he leaves in a year or 2 years or whatever. I think defensively, they're always going to be in contending shape with DeMeco Ryans calling that defense. They're built for the long haul. I really feel that way. The other team I'm going with, and the Sports Illustrated guys, only one of them, Mitch Goldich, picked them to win a Super Bowl in the next 5 years. I'm going with the Rams. Now, the quarterback situation is concerning. What are they going to do at quarterback? Because 5 years from now, Stafford ain't playing. If he is, I'm going to guess he's, part bionic at that point.
It's a big bet on McVay and Les Snead.
I'm willing to make that bet. Honestly, we've seen it work when he got to a Super Bowl. And the Patriots confused the hell out of them in that ugly, ugly Super Bowl. But he got them there. It was proof that it took, 2 years, and they were able to put together a Super Bowl contending team with Jared Goff at quarterback. Then they had to restart, essentially, because Goff really petered out. They make the big trade. As soon as they get a real quarterback, or a better quarterback, they win the Super Bowl. Last year, I thought they might win 4 games. I really thought they might completely bottom out. They were very impressive. Did they make the playoffs? Were they the 6th seed?
Who, the Rams last year?
The Rams.
Yeah, they made the playoffs.
Yeah. I was not expecting that.
No.
At all. Whatsoever. I think McVay really is that dude. I think he's the top 2 coach in the NFL. You want to put him first? I could understand it. I'd put Reed first, but I think he's that guy. I think Snead is that good of a coach. Or a GM, and they're actually in a spot now where they can pick again. They actually have their own draft picks again.
Yeah.
So whether they pick guys or they trade them for more stars or whatever, I think the Rams are in a really good spot as long as McVay is there.
So it's really funny. Outside of the Chiefs, there are a lot of teams that I look at, and again, I stress quarterback, coach, and front office when I'm trying to predict the future here. There are a lot of teams that feel really good about 2 of the 3, and I have a significant concern about the 3rd component.
Okay.
Like with the Bengals. I like Burrow. I think Zach Taylor has at least proven himself to be a better head coach than I thought he was going to be.
Oh, yeah.
The front office is incredibly cheap and seem poised to let their best defensive player and also T. Higgins walk after this year.
We should reiterate, every single time the Bengals come up and their front office comes up, they sold the name of Paul Brown Stadium, maybe the most influential person in the history of professional football. They sold the name of the stadium named for him to pay Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
That's how cheap we're talking here.
So questions about the front office. Can they keep it together? The Eagles, Howie Roseman, I think, is one of the best general managers in football. Jalen Hurts has already been to a Super Bowl, and I think he can get back to one. Nick Sirianni, does he have control of that locker room? Or is he just a giant
he the head coach?
Just a giant man baby. Yeah, they could have a totally new coach. So I have the Chiefs winning 3. I'm going with the combination front office, head coach, and quarterback that I trust the most with my other 2 titles. And they are also coming from the AFC. I'm going with Baltimore, and I'm going with Buffalo.
That's fair.
I'm going with Baltimore to win 1. Lamar gets over the top. And some of that is I'm picking with my heart here because I want Lamar to win 1.
Well, yeah, I get it. I think that'd be an awesome
2-time
story.
MVP. He's established his bona fides, one of the best quarterbacks of his era. But there are going to be portions of the NFL watching public who will never give him his flowers unless he wins a Lombardi. And I mean, that's true for every quarterback to an extent, but I think it's really true for Lamar Jackson for a lot of reasons that have nothing to do with Lamar Jackson. That's just the discourse around Lamar Jackson. So I would like to see him get one. And then I do think Josh Allen and the Bills get one eventually. I think Brandon Beane is a good general manager. I think they've done as well as they possibly could have, putting a functional roster together. Functional doesn't do it justice. But in their take your medicine year against the salary cap.
To that point, I think we, the general football public, we may have gone a little beyond where like the fair amount of criticizing what the roster looks like. I think they've become underrated. Maybe not by a lot, but I think they've almost become underrated because of all the, this roster stinks. They got to, tear it down for the cap this year. They still got Josh Allen. They still got some guys. It's not a great roster, but they still could win that division.
Matt Verderame is insistent that they will. Like Matt Verderame is still driving the Bills bus. And I over time, I've kind of started to see why. So again, Eagles, I'm iffy on. Sirianni. Bengals, very iffy on their front office. I feel bad for CJ Stroud and the Texans. I mean, but we've only 1 year of DeMeco Ryans as the head coach. Let's see let's see how they handle success. San Francisco, serial bottlers, chokers. They will get back. They might go to. I've picked 5 AFC teams to win the Super Bowl in the next 5 years. I think it's going to be like
the
80s and the 90s when the NFC won every year because all the good quarterbacks still in the AFC. So I think the AFC is going to win these Super Bowls. It might be they beat the 49ers 5 times.
You would hear when if you told that to Joe football fan, Stroud's going to win one. He with a team that good, with a quarterback that good, that young, they're absolutely going to win one. I bet people told Karl Malone that his whole career. Oh, you're too good to not win a championship. I bet people told John Stockton that all the time. I bet people told Gary Payton that before he went ring chasing. He still didn't win a ring because the Lakers lost to the Pistons that year.
No, he won a ring with Boston in 2008.
Gary Payton?
Yes.
Was a Celtic in 2008?
I'm pretty sure he was.
I don't recall that.
Do you not remember Gary Payton as a Boston Celtic?
Not even remotely.
Okay, yeah, he didn't make it that long, but he did win one with the Heat in 2006. I'm sorry. That's what I was thinking of.
Okay. I do remember that.
Yeah, he was on the
Even so, if you run into Michael Jordan, it is hard to win a championship.
Here's your best analog for the NFL, Dan Marino.
Yeah, exactly.
Dan Marino got there as a rookie.
Yeah.
Got one shot.
It was his only shot. The SI
second year.
Yeah, you're right. It was year 2. The Sports Illustrated panel ended up with the Albert Breer and Matt Verderame each suggested the Chiefs were going to win 2. Greg Bishop suggested that the Lions would win 2, which is bonkers. The teams with the most Super Bowls assigned to them by the 8-person panel for Sports Illustrated, the Chiefs, obviously. Everybody thinks they're going to win one in the next 5 years. The Lions next, then the 49ers, then the Chargers. That is so much faith in Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah.
And look, I think Jim Harbaugh can really coach. I think the Chargers will be good again very soon. It won't be this year, but it won't take long either for them to reestablish themselves as the next year's champions, which they have forever been since Patrick Mahomes has been the Chiefs quarterback. They have always been next year's champions, and they're going to be next year's champions again, over and over and over again, because I do think Jim Harbaugh will get that thing going in the right direction, and I do think Justin Herbert is very talented. But they got to go through Mahomes just to win the division. Never mind win a Super Bowl. Good luck.
You're right. You're very right about that. I will say this about Jim Harbaugh. Do you know what his record was his first season in San Francisco? Now, remember, he took over a 6-10 49ers team with a version of Alex Smith that today is unrecognizable. Alex Smith was legitimately one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL.
Didn't they go 12-4 right away and go to the championship game?
13-3, they went to the NFC Championship game and should have gone to the Super Bowl if not for 2 Kyle Williams fumbles.
Yeah.
His 3 years in the his first 3 years in San Francisco, NFC Championship game, Super Bowl, NFC Championship game. Yeah. He's got a better quarterback now than he had with those teams.
Also appearing on the lists of the Sports Illustrated writers, the Texans, Ravens, Bills, Bengals, Eagles, Vikings. That's a big bet on J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah, good luck with that one.
The Rams and the Dolphins. Greg Bishop had the Dolphins. So
real quick, we've already gone long, so what's another minute here? At what point do we have conversations about John Harbaugh? I like John Harbaugh a lot. I think he's a very good coach. I like the way he handles himself. I like the way he runs his team. I do. When does the benefit of the doubt run out on John Harbaugh? Because I don't know if you know this. Super Bowl 59 is coming up this year. His ring came in Super Bowl 47.
Yeah.
But when does the frustration with him, like it comes up with Mike Tomlin, start to rear its head? Because
that is true.
Let's be frank, those two teams, aside from one having a quarterback and one not, those two franchises are so similar in the last decade.
That's an interesting point. I certainly think that the Ravens have had more postseason success or more regular season success. They haven't had those.
They're the quarterbacks.
Yeah. It's an interesting question. I do think Harbaugh gets a little bit more benefit of the doubt than Tomlin does. Why that is probably a whole entire other show to discuss.
Yeah.
But yeah, interesting thought.
Before we get to a break, I want to remind you guys to check out my friends at Calhoun's Jewelers right here in the capital city. They have done an incredible job. Every time I've gone in for anything, I need help. I need something cleaned. I need to buy something. They and their incredible staff have been so good to me, to my wife, and I know they'll be so good to you as well as you look for a forever gift. At Calhoun's Jewelers, you can find them right here in the capital city at 1801 Southwest Gage Boulevard, or you can visit them online at calhounsjewelers.com.
We will take your answers to the question, who is going to win the next 5 Super Bowls, in the YouTube live chat or on the Top State Metal Supply text line. But first, a little on second thought. That's what's coming up next on 580 Sports Talk, live from the Kansas Drive to Zero studio. A very quick round of On Second Thought here on 580 Sports Talk. On second thought, I probably should have called somebody when the dishwasher at our house stopped drying things effectively. We're now awaiting our new dishwasher, which we're very excited about, my wife and I, but we've been having to hand wash baby bottles every day for the last 2 weeks. And my wife would want me to say, by we, I mostly mean her.
My on second thought is I always make fun of people who watch things like NBA Summer League. Like, you're such a sick freak if you watch stuff like that. I've watched it multiple nights this week.
My on second thought is, as we've talked about on the show, things have changed.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was going to be like pretty easy, to be honest with you. It's been there's been a curve.
You enjoying the ag markets?
And we've had a few very close calls, put it that way, of getting things to air on time.
Well, hey, as long as they get there, that's all that matters. Nobody can see the behind the scenes stuff. Matt Derrick joins us next on 580 Sports Talk. Matt Derrick of ChiefsDigest.com is our Chiefs insider here on 580 Sports Talk, and he joined us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline every Friday at this time. Matt, we've almost made it. Training camp opens next week.
I know, Dan, we are so close to almost actual football that I can't believe it.
Yeah, we're so close we can taste it, in fact, here. And we look forward to discussing more about that as we move forward with you. But, Matt, as we get closer to the start of training camp, I wanted to ask you about something that I saw Nate Taylor write last week at The Athletic. He mentioned that there might be an increased role, at least early on in the season, for McCole Hardman in the Chiefs offense. And I want to ask you about that because when you ran through a 53-man roster projection for the Chiefs, you think Hardman's on the bubble, may not even make the roster at all. So tell me how you view the wide receiver position for the Chiefs and why you think that a veteran guy like Hardman, a Super Bowl hero, mind you, might find his way onto the chopping block potentially.
Well, part of it is going to be just what the health is and how some of the newcomers fit in. I mean, if the things work the way that the Chiefs are envisioning, I mean, obviously, hey, Hollywood Brown and Rashee Rice are your two go-tos. Xavier Worthy's probably going to be playing. Hey, early on, you're going to sprinkle him in. Maybe he's playing 30 to 40% of the snaps. But hey, Rice and Brown are going to be probably 70, 80% at minimum. So there's a lot of the oxygen right there. The Chiefs are going to be using a lot of multiple tight end sets because Jaron Wiley and Noah Gray are going to get on the field. So that Andy Reid's going to do that. And then you get into the rest of the wide receiver rotation. Well, Justin Watson is more trustworthy in more locations for the Chiefs. They feel like he's their best complementary receiver, and especially at being able to play multiple roles. Whereas, McCole is more of a Z type receiver. And that's the same position that he's going to share with Xavier Worthy. So that's the thing is, hey, is McCole, where would he be? He would probably be in the depth rotation, your fifth, sixth, or seventh receiver, depending on how many they keep. And that's going to depend on where Kadarius Toney fits in. I mean, so that's why there's a lot to decide and how the Chiefs can, construct their roster. Because remember, I mean, Kadarius Toney has a guaranteed contract. So you may favor Kadarius Toney being on the 53 over someone else. Sky Moore, are you ready to give up on him? Well, if not, now you're definitely the six receivers, and you haven't factored in McCole yet. If Nico Remigio makes this team as a kick returner, which right now the Chiefs are giving a serious look for, I don't know if I can put McCole on the team. And especially when you think about it from the standpoint that McCole, because of his experience, doesn't have to go through waivers. That's why I think there's a possibility that, and this, once again, goes back to injuries. If everybody's healthy, having McCole Hardman on your practice squad might be a better fit. But I think it could go a lot of different ways. And if McCole does end up on this roster at the beginning of the season, then I think you probably also definitely know that the Chiefs have moved on from maybe a Kadarius Toney or a Sky Moore.
Tell me more about Nico Remigio. I know that he had a really good showing in OTAs. He impressed the team last year in camp and hung on the practice squad all year. What could he potentially bring, or are they looking at him specifically as someone who would be a weapon in the return game?
Yeah, it's remained a lot to be seen because he was kind of like you said. I mean, he's very impressive last year in camp. Looked like he was making a strong bid for maybe making the 53. Certainly the practice squad, and then the shoulder separation ended that. Was very strong in this offseason program, and I do want to put it into the realistic frame because Remigio had a great offseason program. Was he as good as Hollywood Brown or Rashee Rice? No, I mean he wasn't on their level. So let's put him into perspective. But is he a player that is absolutely worth seeing and seeing what more he's got? Yeah. Does he look like he's got the skill set to be a kick returner in this league, and especially maybe with the new kick return rules? Yes. The questions that he's going to have to answer, I think, because I think that he's got the speed, and it's going to be a little bit of just, has he picked up enough of the offense to be comfortable playing multiple positions? And then, two, can he hold up to an NFL season? He is a smaller body. I think he has bulked up some from last year, which should certainly help his availability. That's one of the things he's got to prove, that he can kind of stand up to the punishment of an NFL season once the pads come on. If he can do that, then there could really be a nice role for him. I mean, no, he's not going to be a number one receiver. That's not it. But I'll tell you, I mean, here's where I could see a Nico Remigio fitting in is as a Albert Wilson type, and that maybe is like a Justin Watson type too, in that you need those complementary receivers that can move around, play different spots. You can trust in a lot of different positions. Definitely play special teams, and Remigio looks like he could be one of those guys.
Matt Derrick joins us every Friday at this time for our Chiefs Insider on 580 Sports Talk. Matt joining us via the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline. You can find his work at ChiefsDigest.com. You can also find him on Twitter at Matt Derrick. Matt, here's the big news of the week. Where the heck are you on the cast list for Holiday Touchdown, a Chiefs love story? Why have I not seen your name in the press releases?
I'm sure it's because I just didn't get my headshots in time and everything. So, I'm sure that they still need some reporters or something. I mean, don't they have to have some media in this thing, covering it? I mean, I hate to think that a non-reporter would be playing a reporter
right
in all of this, but I mean, I don't know. I can already see the scene right now where the director of fan engagement is walking down the hall and runs into Trey Smith that gives him some stage eating advice. So I guess I just wouldn't be the scene for that.
Last night at the ESPY Awards out in, I think they're still held in LA, Patrick Mahomes was named the Male Athlete of the Year again. Deserved for QB1?
I suppose so. I mean, I don't know. I got a little cynical about that during the ESPYs last night because, I mean, best athlete. I mean, I guess what it is favorite athlete because you voted on it. But I think if it was best athlete, wouldn't it be like I don't know, what the cathlete or something? I mean, you've seen the pictures of Patrick, right? You've seen the dad bod. I mean, are we really talking best athlete here or favorite athlete?
Well, and the other thing,
down Patrick.
That dad bod is only going to get more pronounced with the big news from him and his wife today, Matt, that their third child is on the way. He's not going to get more ripped after that.
No. You. I mean, I think everybody knows once you hit that point, it all starts to go downhill. It's going to be 30 soon, and I mean, and some bloggers are already talking about when he's going to retire. So, I can't imagine that the athlete part's going to be great, but I don't know. I think I'd like the ESPYs a lot better if they just said it was favorite athlete is kind of what it is. But,
I brought this up on the show yesterday, Matt. And it's from the book that was written about the history of ESPN several years ago. It's a great book. And I believe it was Bill Simmons who was quoted in it saying, "Why do we need an award show for sports? Sports already have awards and winners. Why do we need this?"
It's an excellent question. And the reason we need this is for content. We just need it. We had some hours to fill, I mean, because that was a weird thing. I always thought the ESPY is about being like during the All-Star break when there was nothing on. So having them on last night just really confused me.
Matt, you and Nick Jacobs of KSHB TV in Kansas City on your 41's The Mike podcast earlier this week were talking about a potential franchise tag option for a few stalwart Chiefs who have contracts that are expiring this year. Members of the 2021 draft class, Nick Bolton, Creed Humphrey, and Trey Smith. What do you think is the likelihood that one of those three could end up getting tagged?
I mean, honestly, I think pretty slim because the franchise tag situation is not favorable for any of them. And a big reason why is that, the franchise tag is a broad weapon. It's not a scalpel. And it's great for quarterbacks, great for receivers, and it's great for high-paid positions across the board. So even if it's a left tackle or anything that may be, it's great for those positions because at least if you're as a team that franchise tags them, you can at least get a bargain for a year or save a little bit of money. That's what creates the leverage against the player. With those three players in particular, there's no franchise tag for center. There's only a franchise tag for offensive linemen. So for both, with Creed and Trey, you're not going to be paying them the top 5 average at center or guard. You're going to be paying them basically top 5 average for left tackle because those are the highest paid offensive linemen out there. with Nick Bolton. And so both the franchise tags for both those positions would be over $20 million next year. So I think it's about 24 million is the expected number for both those positions. Hey, if you made Creed Humphrey the highest paid center in the league, his salary cap number would be like 14.5. So it really doesn't make any sense. And and the same thing with, even though the guard market's going up, that would be above the guard market too. Look at linebacker, and the problem with linebacker is that you've got a lot of edge rushers that are outside linebackers. You don't have a franchise tag for middle linebacker. So you'd have to pay Nick Bolton online with what some of the top edge rushers are making, and his franchise tag is going to be $20 million. That just doesn't make any sense. So you're the Chiefs are just in the unfortunate spot where you've got three players that play at positions that the franchise tag is not very useful. Could you use it in desperation? Sure. But it doesn't create any leverage with the player as far as trying to get a long-term deal done.
We're joined by Matt Derrick of ChiefsDigest.com. And Matt, training camp kicking off here in just a number of days. If you had to select your preseason Chiefs rookie of the year, just the best rookie in this draft class, who would it be and why?
Ooh, that is a great question. I think money-wise, I think I might be putting it on Jared Wiley. I probably should say Xavier Worthy, and if Kingsley Suamadia wins the left tackle job, maybe he's the easy choice because that's a premium position, and if he plays well, he'll be playing every single game if he's healthy. So I think those are the top three likely candidates for sure. But I've been really impressed with what we've seen from Wiley. And even though, hey, he's not going to be a starter unless something happens to Travis Kelce, knock on wood, but he's really impressive. I think he's going to have a really good year. I think Chiefs are going to find a way to use him a lot, especially in the red zone. So I think he could be a guy that ends up with a lot of touchdowns. Hey, he's not going to have 1,000 yards, anything crazy like that. But if you told me that Jared Wiley had 400 yards and 8 touchdowns, I mean, that'd be a really good season. And it might be better than what Xavier Worthy has. I mean, even, hey, if he went out and had a Tyreek Hill kind of season, I mean, those would be similar numbers, and you'd probably still give it to Worthy in that sense. But I think the upside with Wiley's even better. Second half of the season, maybe he's going to be really important, could be important in the playoff run. We'll see, but it's hard to choose. But maybe I am just on such a Wiley high from what we saw during off-season workouts. Maybe I'm overvaluing him a bit, and maybe we'll get Xavier Worthy finally on the field at camp, and I'll be like, okay, well, there's your guy. But right now, I'm buying everything I can on Jared Wiley.
Just a little bit more time with Matt Derrick of ChiefsDigest.com. He's our Chiefs insider, joining us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline here on 580 Sports Talk. Matt, as training camp gets underway next week, who is this an extremely important training camp for? And I want to set aside the rookies because obviously every rookie wants to make a good first impression, but is it one of those veteran wide receivers trying to secure a roster spot? Is it somebody else trying to secure one of those 53 spots? Who is facing an extremely important camp? You have about a minute.
Yeah, you know what? I think I might go for the cornerbacks because outside of Trent McDuffie, you've got 3 guys that, are going to be in kind of some form of free agency next year, eligible between Joshua Williams, Jalen Watson, and Najee Johnson. You can start thinking about extending them. And Nazee's a little bit different because he's going to be a restricted free agent potentially. But, you got to start thinking about whether one of those guys is going to be the guy to extend. And, whoever ends up winning that job opposite Trent McDuffie is going to have a head start as being the guy that maybe you keep if you're the Chiefs. So I think how that receiver group in particular really shakes out is going to be key to the futures of all 3 of those guys in Kansas City.
Matt Derrick covers the Kansas City Chiefs at ChiefsDigest.com. Also, the aforementioned 41 is the Mike podcast. He's a part of that as well. You can check that out. You can find him on Twitter at Matt Derrick. Looking forward to the start of training camp next week. Matt, we're looking forward to speaking with you next week on 580 Sports Talk. Thanks for the time today.
Absolutely. Can't wait, Dan. We'll talk to you later.
That is Matt Derrick. And that wraps up the 3 o'clock hour of 580 Sports Talk. Coming up in the 4 o'clock hour, we'll preview the Royals and Red Sox series. We'll crown a What Is Wrong With You weekly champion. And we will draft pass catchers in the Big 12 Conference from the Kansas Drive to Zero studio. That's all coming up in the next hour of 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. Hour number 3 of 580 Sports Talk on this Friday afternoon. Taking you into the weekend. Thanks for making us part of your Friday afternoon here on 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online worldwide at 580WIBW.com. And a special thanks to those of you who are tuned in on our live video stream, whether that's on YouTube, 580 Sports Talk, Twitter, 580 Sports Talk, or Facebook, WIBW News. I'm Dan Lucero. Brendan Dworzinski is across the table from me, and Spencer Dupuis is across the glass as our producer engineer. Gang's all here on this Friday afternoon, and we're glad you are too.
You can also watch the stream through YouTube at our website,
yes,
580WIBW.com. Here's a little inside baseball for you. So our sports team does the website work, and the sports updates on the Chiefs, on KU, K-State, Royals, any of the sports news or opinion pieces, that's our crew putting that together. We also have some national stories that are fed into our website. They just get automatically put on the website for us. It's very nice. You can currently, if you go to our website, you can not only see the link to the video stream in the middle of the page, you can also see a link to this fascinating story inside the cutthroat world of becoming a Wimbledon ball boy and ball girl.
Wow. Yeah, we did not go behind the scenes to write that story.
No, I've been a little too busy to do the investigative journalism on the world of being a ball boy, but you can go check that out at our website right now.
580WIBW.com is the website.
Once again, sitcoms are always on the cutting edge. This is very close to a Seinfeld bit. When Kramer becomes a ball boy at Flushing Meadows or whatever. Yeah.
We have got a full 4 o'clock hour for you today. Again, we are with you until 5:30 tonight due to Royals baseball. Royals in Boston against the Red Sox tonight. First pitch at 6:10. So we'll hand things off for pregame coverage on the Royals Baseball Network at 5:30 this afternoon. In the meantime, we will later on this hour preview that Royals-Red Sox series and also choose a What Is Wrong With You champion for the week, including a very important update about our current weekly champion, the man, the myth, the legend, Matthew Pancake. We do have an update on that story that we will bring to you.
Only befitting of Matthew Pancake.
Matthew Pancake.
Man, it's a winning worthy story regardless, but the fact that he's got a goofy name really does help.
So remember when they used to do the name of the year bracket?
I remember it fondly.
I loved name of the year time, and they do it every March. There's these guys on the internet who put together a bracket of the best names, and there were some truly ridiculous names people ended up with, like Chardonnay Pantastico was somebody's name. No J Nimson was pretty funny. That Jim Bob Ghost Keeper was a champion.
That's one of my favorites.
Yeah. But the best names in that, like, you get beyond some of the truly ridiculous ones, and some of the best ones were normal first name, preposterous last name. I remember one year, Mike Diaper.
I remember that one.
Had me convulsing on live radio.
We made that a segment every day when they were doing that back in the day. We would pick the winners. I'm looking at the last year that I believe they did it in 2020. This might not have even been the original people who did it. But at least in 2020, unnamed temporary sports blog. Was that David Roth?
No, that was the Deadspin guys after they all quit Deadspin in unison. Yes.
I don't know how this was a 6th seed in 2020. Mickey Mental. This is from the year 2020. Someone was named Jan 6, which is hysterical.
Yes, very funny now.
Yeah, Rod Gods, Kaiser Pontoon. Like this is just tremendous.
Stetson President.
No, there were so many good ones over the years.
Yeah, here, perfect example. Steve Cakebread. Like those names are really funny.
All right, here we go. 2018. I think at least this was the first year so 2018, that spring, that I would have done it on the show. Some of the names here. How many of these do you remember, Dan? Salami Blessing. Tuna El Tuna. Early Charlemagne, the year 1800 AD. This was the year that featured Mike Diaper.
Mike Diaper is so good. It's so good.
The reverse of the naming convention you were talking about is Dr. Taekwondo Bird.
Yeah, normal name, normal last name. Taekwondo Bird. Isn't that wasn't that on Adult Swim? Wasn't that a show?
Might have been
on Adult Swim.
Devoid Couch. That was a 10. I believe Devoid Couch made a run on our bracket. That's a great name.
Did you guys see the text on the Top City ML Supply text line about Matthew Pancake?
From the 785, Matthew Pancake is a great name for my Road to Glory middle linebacker on college football tournament. It really is.
Yeah,
it really is.
Why can't I play as a right guard in Road to Glory? You can only play as, I think, 5 positions.
Yes, they have now limited what positions you can play at in the Road to Glory mode. You can only be a quarterback, running back, wide receiver, middle linebacker, and cornerback.
Why can't you be an edge rusher?
Yeah,
I know.
right?
That one's the one that doesn't make sense
That'd
to me.
be sick.
Yeah, let me be a safety. Let me play a box safety. I want Cam Chancellor fool.
I want to be a long snapper. I could play all of my games in about 8 minutes, if not less.
That'd be sick. You have like a specific mechanic for long snapping.
You can't be anything better than a 7th round pick when you port to Madden.
Anyway, we will have a Matthew Pancake update on what is wrong with you. We're also going to do a Big 12 pass catcher draft this hour. I wanted to quickly double back. We talked about top of the 3 o'clock hour. And if you missed this, you can rewind the live video. You can catch the archived YouTube video, youtube.com. 580 Sports Talk is the channel. You can also find hour by hour podcast episodes at our website, 580wibw.com. We talked at the top of the 3 o'clock hour. Sports Illustrated did an exercise. Who's going to win the next 5 Super Bowls? And we all did the same exercise. Who's going to win the next 5 Super Bowls? We all agree it will be multiple Super Bowls for the Chiefs. I was so bold as to say that they'll do what they've done the last 5 years, which is win 3 of them. But we had some answers from the Top City Metal Supply text line, 785-272-9429, and on the YouTube live chat. We had one texter from 785 say the Chiefs will definitely win 3 of the next 5.
Definitely. Wow.
Yeah.
Confident.
Also have Trevor on the YouTube live chat has Chiefs, Texans, Chiefs, Washington.
Let's go.
Another vote for Spencer's Manders.
I assumed that Spencer and Trevor knew each other.
Right?
We
They had to be.
We do not. I
cahoots.
don't think so, unless this guy. I don't know.
Using a pseudonym.
He's also
Yeah.
got the Eagles winning the 5th of the 5. Mark in the YouTube comments says Chiefs next 3. Wow, next 3.
5 straight. Booker T 5 times.
Hey, that would never be done again in NFL.
No,
No.
never again.
We will be living history. Then
Yes.
Baltimore, then Houston, but a dark horse team might be the Chicago Bears. Again, they kind of fit in with the logic behind Houston, the logic behind Washington. If Caleb Williams is that guy, the Super Bowl window is very open for the Bears. Very open.
Yep.
My favorite answer, though, the funniest one that made me laugh, Tyler in the YouTube comments, Chiefs, 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 in that order. Maybe switch one with 5.
He forgot this. He forgot 5. He only put 4 Chiefs.
I'm thinking we can just we extrapolate number 5 there.
Yes.
Good stuff from the commentariat over at the YouTube live chat. All right. A couple weeks ago, we drafted quarterbacks. Yesterday, we drafted running backs. Now it's time to take a look at the pass catchers, wide receivers, and tight ends of the Big 12 Conference. Again, this is the week of Big 12 football media days, so we're all kinds of torqued about Big 12 football this week, and we are sort of drafting pseudo-fantasy teams full of Big 12 skill players.
You guys planning to compete today? Because I've mopped the floor with you the last 2.
Oh, is that right?
Oh, yeah.
Is that correct?
We'll find out when the year starts, I guess.
We certainly will. We'll put these teams together, and we'll do a graphic on our Twitter, 580 Sports Talk, over the long haul, so you can keep track of who has drafted who. But today on the Big 12 pass catcher draft, we will do 5 rounds, so 15 total selections, 4 wide receivers and a tight end. It doesn't matter when you pick a tight end, but you do have to pick a tight end. In the Big 12, historically, it's been a very good tight end league, and there are some good ones returning and some new ones coming into the league from outside the conference this year. So one of your picks has to be a tight end. Now, I had the first overall pick for quarterbacks. Brendan had the first overall pick for running backs. That means Spencer has the number 1 overall pick in our Big 12 pass catcher draft. Spencer, who you got?
I gotta go with Totero
McMillan from Arizona.
From Arizona.
What is the
McMillan
official
from Arizona.
pronunciation?
It is, I think
Teteroya?
Tetroya?
Teteroya? We should really know this. He's the
It might be the best wide receiver in the league.
yeah, in the country. He might even be
Yeah,
arguably. Yeah, we should probably know. I'm trying to Google him, and now Tetris is coming up.
Teteroya.
I'm sure we have a pronunciation guide somewhere.
Yeah, Arizona's website should have some game notes or something.
All right, well, McMillan from Arizona is my first pick.
Yeah,
T-Mac. His Twitter account is T-Mac. Let's call him T-Mac.
T-Mac.
He's from Hawaii.
Yes, he is.
How cool is that?
I could see that being a Hawaiian name.
Yep, hometown of Waimanalo, Hawaii, but he went to high school in, it looks like Sandy, I think Servite, San Diego, or maybe San Jose, one of those. But
do you know the way to San Jose?
West.
Good call.
West on 70. Follow the direction.
Southwest.
Let's see. I've got some game notes up from last year. We're gonna get this right once and for all, and you will learn along with us. Maybe. Do they have a roster in here? What are we looking at here? Okay,
you're gonna have some thoughts.
Too deep.
The Sports Information Department at Arizona. If they don't,
yeah. Where is the full roster? You kidding me? They don't have one. They don't put a full. Oh, here we go. Pronunciations. Teteroa. McMillan.
There you go.
That is the first overall pick and a no-brainer, number one overall pick.
Yeah, he's a stud. He and Fafita, I think, are going to put up huge numbers this year. I assume he was number one on your board as well.
Oh yeah, number one with a bullet. Yeah, he was always going number one. So that is the number one overall pick. So this is where the draft starts after the number one overall pick.
Mm-hmm.
So there are no returning 1,000-yard receivers to the conference this year, which I think is pretty fascinating.
Yeah.
There is a 100-yard catch guy who's back, but Brennan Presley is a bit of a reception merchant, not a big play guy, less than 10 yards per catch last year. So he's not my pick here. I'm going to go with the big play threat for the Iowa State passing offense. And they've got two of them that are really, really good. But I'm going to go with Jaden Higgins, leading returner in terms of yards per game in the Big 12. 53 catches, 983 yards, 18.5 yards per reception last year for Jaden Higgins of Iowa State. He'll be my first pick.
I like that one. I had him near the top of my board as well. I understand what you mean talking about Presley. Not a lot of guys who average under 10 yards per catch. That's not super common. I am going Brennan Presley, though, because I think Brennan Presley is a stud. I think he is very reliable. I think he is extremely durable. I like him a lot. And I would not be surprised if he catches a ton of balls again this year, hopefully for more yardage for my sake. I am going to go Brennan Presley, though. He was number 2 on my board, in fact. I think he is phenomenal. I'm a big fan of his. So I go back to back here.
Oh, yes, you do.
I don't know how much separation there is for a lot of these wide receivers.
There really are. Doing my draft board, there are a bunch of good guys.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of teams that have multiple really talented wide receivers. There are some gifted transfers. We'll see if any of them come off the board that I think could make a big impact in the conference this year. But yeah, there's not where you had a very clear tier of 3 or 4 guys running back or 3 or 4 quarterbacks. With wide receivers, you had McMillan, one with a bullet. And then after that, it's kind of what's your favorite flavor?
Yeah, no, I agree with you entirely. I'm looking right now at Phil Steele's preseason all-conference teams. I kind of think I want to buck the trend, honestly, that he went with here. Because there's a couple of guys who he has 4th team who I kind of like in this spot, to be honest with you. I am going to go a little chalkier, though. Man, I am going to go with Kobe Hudson from UCF. And here's why. That sounds chalky. I'm reading out of Phil Steele's magazine. He has him 1st team. The reason I'm going to go with Kobe Hudson is actually something I heard on a fantasy football podcast recently. Teams that run a lot of RPO stuff. And Gus Malzahn, yeah, a lot of that. A Gus Malzahn team with a running quarterback, 2 stud running backs, yeah, they're going to run a lot of run-pass option stuff. You know who they target a lot on teams that run those kind of offenses? Number 1 options.
Yeah.
Because you don't have time to do a read option and then drop back and read 4 different routes. No, it's either handoff, pitch, or throw the dang ball. generally that goes to your number one target. So I think Kobe Hudson's going to put up some big numbers. He might be the only receiver who does, but I think he'll put up big numbers for UCF.
So my top 4 guys are all off the board. Those were my top 4 in order. So I'm going to go and pick. There are some. You start to get in some number 2s here or some 1As.
Yeah,
because there are some teams. I think Oklahoma State's one of those teams that has a 1A because I think Rashad Owens had 63 catches last year, was really good. KU is definitely a team with a 1A, 1B, 1C situation there. So again, what's your favorite flavor? So I'll go with a guy who was a clear number 1 last year and will be again this year. Xavier Henderson from Cincinnati, 782 yards on his 58 catches and 3 touchdowns. Cincinnati should have a better quarterback situation this year with Brendan Sorsby over Emory Jones, just wasn't any good. So I will expect better production from Xavier Henderson from UCF. It's Xavier, by the way, XZAVIER.
He was one of the guys I considered taking with my previous pick. I think he's really, really gifted.
All right, back-to-back picks for Spencer. Go.
First one, I'm going Skinner from Kansas.
Quentin Skinner.
Why Quentin Skinner over either Grimm or Arnold? Because I think you could make an argument for any of them being number 1. Was there anything in particular that sold you on him? I know some people think he's got real NFL upside.
I think that he's got NFL upside.
Makes sense.
And I think he's going to be the guy to lead the way this year for them.
Okay.
I can see it.
I had Arnold the highest KU guy on my draft board personally, but again, it's 1A, 1B, 1C, and it's like Neapolitan ice cream. Just which part of it do you like the best?
Yep.
All right, next pick, Spencer.
I'm going to go LeJontay Webster from Colorado.
LeJontay Webster is a transfer from FAU. He was a 1,000-yard receiver last year. Colorado, of course, showed that they're not shy about getting new players involved because their whole team was new last year. And they're going to throw the ball a ton.
They're going to have to.
Yeah.
Is it Webster or Wester?
It is Webster. No, it's Webster.
I've seen it in multiple places. Webster.
Maybe it is Webster.
It is Webster.
Okay. Yeah, no wonder I couldn't find him when I Googled Webster. Nope, LeJontay Webster it is. That is, first team all AAC last year.
Yeah, no, good
Florida
player.
Atlantic. Good player. Second team all league preseason pick by Phil Steele.
And honestly, having a good tight, people always say, well, either A, you're Stanford Steve, and you just say the tight end is always open, but the tight end's the safety blanket, right? That's the guy who, not a true check down guy normally, but a quarterback loves to have a good tight end. Given that offensive line and the fact that Shedeur Sanders is probably going to have to get rid of the ball rapidly, constantly all season, I think having a talented tight end is going to pay dividends for them.
All right, next one for me. Baylor is, I don't think, going to be very good this year, but I think they will be better on offense. They've got a new offensive coordinator, Jake Spavital, who I don't think you're the biggest fan of Jake Spavital, if I recall correctly. Maybe just as a head coach.
I think Spav, to be as blunt as I can be, sucks. I do not think he is a good coach whatsoever. Coordinator, okay. Head coach, absolutely not. I'm not a fan.
Well, he is a coordinator, and they're going to go fast, run a lot of plays. I think they're going to be behind and throw the ball a lot. Their best receiver is a gentleman named Monterey Baldwin. That's Monaray, not Monterey, like the town in California. Monterey Baldwin has been the leading receiver for Baylor each of the last 2 seasons, averaged 16.5 yards per catch last year. Only 38 grabs last season. I expect that number to go up in an offense that will be much more up-tempo than Baylor was last year. Monterey Baldwin's my 3rd pick. Brendan, you've got 2 in a row here.
All right, back-to-back. I also, man, again, you can make an argument for any of these KU guys. I'm going to go with Lawrence Arnold here. Just a little bit more big play ability. Skinner and Arnold are generally your 2 bigger players. I mean, Grimm has had plenty of explosive plays in his career. But I'm going to go with LJ Arnold there. And then I'm going Luke Grimm with the next pick.
Oh, my!
You fools! I can't believe you let me do this.
Sicko alert.
Oh, God, I was waiting for that to unfold. Worked out perfectly. Because I don't have any more wide receivers to take. I have to take a tight end. The next other receiver I would have taken if not for the Homer bit. Well, I'll let you pick. I'll tell you after.
Okay. My next pick is going to be the guy who led Iowa State in receptions here. I'm going to take 2 Iowa State guys. I'm going to take Jalen Noel, who only averaged 12.4 yards per catch last year, but 7 touchdowns, 66 receptions, 820 yards. Highest guy on my draft board. I had him in my top 5.
I did too. I had him 4th.
So Jalen Noel is the pick for me. I have 2 Cyclone wide receivers That's wild. Spencer.
Big bet on Rocco Becht.
It is. Your final 2 picks, and one of them's got to be a tight end.
Oh, yeah. We'll go Josh Kelly, Texas Tech, and then Benjamin Brahmer, Iowa State.
So I think, is it Brahmer or Bramer?
I think it's Bramer. It looks like Brahmer, but I think it's Bramer.
Okay.
So
Iowa State tight end.
Iowa State.
We haven't been great with names this segment.
Nope.
It's fine.
No, we'll learn them as we go. Brahmer is Phil Steele's first team all-league preseason pick. 28 catches last year for 352 yards and 2 touchdowns. You could typically never go wrong drafting a Red Raider wide receiver. Josh Kelly is new to the program. He was at Washington State last year. Had some good numbers at
good player.
Fresno State.
Good player.
And he's probably going to be receiver number 1 because they lost most of their top wide receivers from last year. So I've got to take a tight end here. And
did we all save tight ends to the end?
I think we did.
Yeah, I was.
There are a lot of interesting wide receivers. There are some guys who I cannot believe are still going to be on the board. When we're done with this exercise, like I really regret I can't take Jace Brown here from Kansas State because I think he's going to be wide receiver 1 for Avery Johnson. But I got to take a tight end. I think I got the best tight end in the conference. I got to take a Brant Keith from Utah.
Dang, I thought you were going to let him slip through.
No way.
Yeah.
Injuries have cost him most of the last 2 seasons, but when he's on the field, he's Cam Rising's number 1 target, and wouldn't be shocked if he led Utah in catches this season. Brant Keith, he's the pick.
I was debating between those 2.
All right, so that leaves me. Oh God, where do I want to go with this? I think. Oh man, this is tough. All right, I am going to go maybe a little bit of a surprise here. I don't know. Where does Phil Steele have him on here? I got to make sure I'm not making a stupid pick. I agree with you, by the way. I am surprised by some of the wide receiver names on there. Jace Brown was also one of my highest remaining players. All right, I am going to go to Fort Worth for mine. I'm going to go with Drake Dabney, tight end for TCU, the transfer from Baylor.
Okay.
That's something of a bet on Josh Hoover, which, to be frank, I don't really want to do. I think he's way too volatile. At least he was this past season. But I like Dabney. Big play tight end threat. So he's going to be my pick. High upside. I'm going for the upside pick there.
Very interesting. So Drake Dabney is the final pick of. There are so many good wide receivers still on the board. Do we want to go one more round, guys?
I mean, I'll go one more.
You want to go one more? Let's go one more. Let's do it.
It's Friday.
Yeah, we got, again,
rules don't exist.
Exactly. We'll keep the snake draft format. We each get one more pass catcher in our Big 12 pass catcher draft. Why not? There are more wide receivers than there are running backs and there are quarterbacks. You should have more on a quote-unquote fantasy team. Let's each take one more wide receiver. Brendan, you've got the first crack here.
God.
I mean, my list is really long.
Yeah, I've got 5 more on my board here. Oh man, do I do? All right, you know what? I know who you're going to take after me, which is fine. I'm going to take Dorian Singer from Utah.
That's a good pick.
Yeah, to me,
he's my preseason pick to win Newcomer of the Year in the conference.
Yeah, I think he's stud. I think it's going to be a great addition. I think you're going to get some really fun high-low kind of stuff on the outside with Keithy underneath and with Singer down the field for Cam Rising in that offense. I'll go with Singer there. Jace Brown was the other one I was considering.
Yeah. I want to take Jace Brown here, but
I'm curious if you're going to. I have someone on mind that I think is a very funny pick. I want to know
funny pick.
I want to know if you would also consider this player.
Is it funny because he has a funny name?
No, that is not why.
Okay, because Joseph Manjack is probably going to go undrafted here, and that's too bad because he's a good player.
Priority free agent.
Yes, Houston's best wide receiver, no doubt. I had him on my list. I had Montana Lamonius Craig on my list. He's going to be number 2 at Arizona, which probably means he'll catch 80, 90 balls.
Yeah, another good player.
Rashad Owens at Oklahoma State.
I could have seen him going in the first 15, honestly.
Some good tight ends to get taken. Cole Taylor at West Virginia didn't go.
That I was between him or Dabney, and I went with the high upside pick.
So I love Jace Brown. I'm on record as being a big fan of Jace Brown. Guys, the pick here is Travis Hunter.
That's who I was thinking.
That's who I was gonna pick literally right after.
No, he's next on my board here.
So again, part-time and missing. What he missed 3 games last year with his lacerated spleen or whatever it was.
Yeah, he still had 5 touchdowns and was second on the team in receiving yards.
57 balls, 721 yards, 5 touchdowns.
Yeah.
If they can protect better, he's going to get more deep ball opportunities. And I'm telling you, Shedeur Sanders throws a great deep ball, and Travis Hunter knows how to play the deep ball. Like, his ball skills in the air are some of the best in the country of any player.
That's why he's a great DB too.
Yes, exactly.
And let's also the spleen injury or whatever it was, freak incident for Hunter as well.
Yeah, it really was. So now, like, not a concern of that, like, flaring up or anything. The only real concern is, like, how many snaps is he going to be able to play 120 snaps like he did per game, like he did last year?
No chance.
Maybe he can. I don't know, because I didn't think he could do it at all, and then he kept doing it and was really good. So maybe he is just the freak one of one type. But yeah, he's the pick here for me. All right, Spencer, your last pick.
Chase Brown.
Yeah.
All right.
Good pick. If that's the consolation, you're doing pretty well.
Yeah, really strong pick.
You have anyone left who we didn't pick?
On my board, I mentioned Owens. I mentioned Manjack, Lamonius Craig, Cole Taylor at West Virginia. I think those are the best of the rest.
Yeah, if I was gonna if we were gonna go another round, I was gonna pick another tight end and pick Cole Taylor.
Yeah, Cole Taylor. I had Keegan Johnson down. That would have been like last option pick, but I had him down. Jimmy Horn, Colorado.
Jimmy
also
Horn
on the
Jr.,
board.
yeah.
Number 2 for Shedeur. I was wondering if he might go.
Yeah, and I think there's a chance that he gets, I mean, we'll see about Wester. Obviously huge numbers last year, and they're not shy about bringing in a guy and making him the man. But like, Jimmy Horn Jr. was a very reliable target in that Colorado offense. So like, they're going to put up some passing numbers.
Yeah.
Also, Shedeur's going to get sacked a lot, and they're going to be behind a lot because they won't be able to stop a nosebleed.
Right.
So, those are our Big 12 pass catchers. Again, to run down the groups: Spencer Tetaroa McMillan of Arizona, Quentin Skinner of Kansas, LeJontay Wester of Colorado, Josh Kelly of Texas Tech, Benjamin Bramer of Iowa State, his tight end, and Jace Brown of Kansas State. I have Iowa State's Jaden Higgins, Cincinnati's Xavier Henderson, Baylor's Monterey Baldwin, Iowa State's Jalen Noel, Utah's Brant Keithy, my tight end, and Travis Hunter of Colorado. Brendan goes with Brendan Presley of Oklahoma State, UCF's Kobe Hudson, KU's Lawrence Arnold, KU's Luke Grimm. Great bit. I admire it so much. Tight end Drake Dabney of TCU, and Utah's Dorian Singer.
It's like when Paul Rudd goes on whatever Conan's most recent project is and does the Mac and Me bit where he's like, oh, yeah, I have this new project. I've got a clip for you. And it's just the same scene from Mac and Me with the kid in the wheelchair.
Every single time.
Everybody knew what, like, I telegraphed that so intensely.
And it kills.
I'm glad it still hit.
It kills every single time.
I appreciate you guys for letting me do that.
We'll post those on our
We got to put the whole roster
Twitter.
together.
Yeah, we'll put the rosters together. We'll do we'll do a graphic or something. We'll make it fun. And we'll track the progress of the fantasy teams. Maybe we'll even like track it and do some like get one transaction, ad drop a week, and we'll have some fun with it throughout the Big 12 football season. But when we come back here in the Kansas Drive to Zero studio, we're gonna have some fun crowning a weekly champion on What Is Wrong With You here on 580 WIBW. Bit of a different What Is Wrong With You open on this
Today
Friday.
for What Is Wrong With You, I would like to submit. No, I'm just kidding.
What is wrong with me? I came in here earlier, like
Get it all set up.
10:30. I got it all set up, and that was the one.
Hey,
the one
we've all
intro
been there.
I didn't throw in.
Everybody here has run the board for the show at some point
Yep.
and has missed one of those.
Made the same mistake. It'd be like that sometimes. It is What Is Wrong With You here on 580 Sports Talk. 2 new stories to try and dethrone our current weekly champion, 31-year-old Matthew Pancake of Columbus, Ohio, who broke into a bunch of stores. One of them was a Petland pet store and had hamsters in his pants. We initially reported that there were 2 hamsters in the pockets of his leopard print onesie.
We should do this like match game. How many hamsters did he have?
4, it turned out. We can now report from the What Is Wrong With You news desk that, in fact, it was 4 hamsters in Matthew Pancake's pants. An officer can be heard saying in body cam footage, "Oh, God, there's a gerbil in there. What the heck? Multiple gerbils recovered."
No, you had pets as a kid. You ever have a hamster or a gerbil?
We had a couple of hamsters.
Do you have any of those when you were a kid?
It's a
Spencer?
good, like little kid pet, because, you learn how to clean up after it, but it's
Abby had one too.
minimal footprints. They stay in the cage.
Too rodent-y for me.
Hamsters have a little ball.
I know people that had them. I was like, no, not for me.
Too rodent-y.
So,
Not a rodent guy.
mistaken for gerbils, so they must have been sizable. That, or maybe this officer doesn't know the difference between a gerbil and a hamster. Which I
wouldn't.
3 a.m, I'm not sure I would be thinking clearly enough to know the difference either. Especially if I found them in a man's pants.
Yeah, I'm 3 a.m. If I find anything in a man's pants, I'm freaking out.
We're gonna skip the Richard Gere punchline and move into today's story. Spencer, start us off.
All right, we're going to go to Winter Haven, Florida. A Polk County man was arrested for exposing himself to multiple women at a Walmart in separate instances, according to the Winter Haven Police Department. Trinielle Webster, 33, of Dundee, was charged with 3 counts of exposure of sexual organs after 2 separate incidents at a Walmart parking lot. Webster drove to a Walmart on Cypress Gardens Boulevard on June 30th at 6:45 and on July 6th at 7:43, where he parked beside vehicles where female victims were sitting, police said. In the first incident, police said the woman was waiting for a family member to exit Walmart in her car when a blue Toyota Corolla pulled up next to her.
I'm going to stop you before you read this next paragraph, Spencer, and ask you to tread lightly with the vocabulary you use. Be creative, please.
Oh, yes. After a couple of minutes, she glanced over at the driver and saw he had a cell phone in one hand and was doing something else with the other hand. She immediately left for another spot in the parking lot, and the Corolla left. On July 7th, a mother and her 17-year-old daughter were sitting in their car waiting for a family member to exit the store when the Corolla pulled up next to them. The same thing happened this time. The man was doing the same thing with a cell phone in his hand. Law enforcement was called, but the Corolla had already left before they arrived. The victims in the second incident identified the tag number, which was traced back to Webster. In a July 9th interview, he placed himself in the Walmart parking lot on both occasions. He told authorities that after driving home from work in Brandon, he sometimes wanted to decompress by driving around the Walmart parking lot before going home. More testimony from one of the victims confirmed that Webster matched her description of the victim. He was taken into custody and booked into Polk County Jail.
Listen, I get it. I get you need people have various different ways to decompress. Some people do that
after work. I get it.
Do you not have a bathroom?
It can't be that.
Yeah,
man.
like you have the comfort of your own home.
Yeah.
If you have a cell phone in your hand.
You probably got like some service in your apartment.
Yes.
And watch whatever it is you might be watching and do the thing that you were trying to do. That's gross, man. That's nasty.
Speaking of guys doing this in a parking lot in their car, the Royals play the Red Sox tonight.
Who plays catcher for the Red Sox sometimes, Brendan?
Reese McGuire. Go put that in Google.
Did it? I don't know if they have it on Baseball Reference. I
no,
don't think
they
do.
don't. I know what you're thinking of.
Yeah.
They do not have that.
Reese McGuire in some circles is nicknamed the Carjacker. And we're just going to let that sit with you as you think about why that might be his nickname and why we might have brought it up just now.
I have a good friend who's a Red Sox fan. He did not know that story last year. And I told him, and he said, "Oh, well, I hate him now."
Yeah, really gross. My story today, we're going to New Jersey, where we meet a former bank employee accused of scamming a customer out of nearly $1 million and using that money to fund a side business. Burlington County prosecutors say 41-year-old Aga Hassan, who worked at the Santander Bank. I don't think it's Santander, like the Orioles outfielder.
No, this is definitely Santander.
The Santander Bank in Mount Holly allegedly stole $998,188 from a customer over a 6-year period. This is where I ask you guys this question. How much money would you have to not notice that you were losing something like $180,000 a year?
I guess like NFL contract, NBA contract money.
Shohei Ohtani money.
Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding.
Or that, yeah.
We have proof of concept with that one.
According to prosecutors, an investigation began in 2023 after fraud investigators for Santander Bank contacted police about questionable transactions conducted and overseen by Hassan, who'd recently been terminated from his position at the branch office. The investigation also revealed that Hassan, who'd been employed by the bank since 2014, befriended the customer and gained his trust by offering to help with bill paying. Don't ever let somebody else pay your bills.
Exactly.
And let that be a lesson to you.
Did these people not learn from Shohei Ohtani?
There are lots of other good examples, too, like pay your own bills. As the relationship with the customer progressed, prosecutors say Hassan began to visit the customer's house and obtained blank checks that the customer had signed. Don't sign blank checks. More advice.
Yeah,
here.
yikes.
As well as have the customer approve wire transfers. Hassan also used the customer's account to make significant cash withdrawals and disbursements. He took the money to fund personal expenses and buy real estate, according to authorities. He was arrested Tuesday. He's being held at Burlington County Jail, facing several charges, including theft by deception, misapplication of entrusted property, and filing false tax returns. Probably, I'm going to imagine, probably somebody older, maybe an elderly person he was able to take advantage of over a 6-year time frame. But look, man, like, I think my wife looks at our credit card statements every single day to make sure we're not being defrauded somehow. To make sure like everything shows up, everything is in its proper place. I cannot imagine just letting $1 million walk out the door in 6 years and not realizing it for 6 years.
No way.
Like that is a level of wealth I will never obtain. And I would like to, like, if anyone would like to give me some money out of your wallet, I would be happy to take it. But so yeah, we have that story. We have the carjacker in Polk County, Florida. I'm going to say that guy wins. It's really gross. I'm going to give him the nod today. He not beat Matthew Pancake.
No one is.
No, I agree.
Matthew Pancake is our weekly champion on What Is Wrong With You. He is the odds-on favorite for the month of July. I'm just going to go ahead and throw that out there right now.
Yeah.
And
2012 Kentucky right there.
Going to be really, really hard to take down Matthew Pancake and the 4 hamsters in his leopard print onesie at 3 a.m.
To really embellish the joke I already made earlier in the week, are those 4 hamsters in your pants, or are you just happy to see me?
Hamsters or gerbils? Important question. Important follow-up. We'll come back. We'll talk Royals baseball on the other side of this break on 580 Sports Talk. 4:48 in the Kansas Drive to Zero Studios, 580 Sports Talk. Dan, Brendan, Spencer with you this afternoon until 5:30 when we'll knock off a little early, start our weekend 30 minutes earlier than usual so that we can bring you Royals baseball. We'll hand it off to the Royals Baseball Network. Royals Red Sox in Boston this weekend. 5:30 pregame, 6:10 first pitch for the series opener tonight. All-star Cole Reagans on the bump for the Royals against Cooper Criswell, who's being activated from AAA and an rehab assignment, I believe, to start tonight for Boston. The Royals will not see Boston's all-star starter. Tanner Houck pitched yesterday against Oakland. Boston won that game naturally to go a full game up on the Royals for the last wild card slot in the American League. But the Royals will have both of their all-stars available to throw at the Red Sox this weekend. It'll be Reagans tonight, Seth Lugo tomorrow against Boston's Cutter Crawford, who's having a really nice year. And then Brady Singer on Sunday against Brian Bayo, who in his last outing struck out 11 guys in his first 4 innings of work.
Yeah.
Which is impressive.
But also give up a bunch of runs. I remember seeing that highlight on SportsCenter. I think it was 10 of his first 11 he struck out. It gave up a single, then struck out 10 straight, then had one more strikeout in the next 2 innings and gave up like 3 runs. You think Lugo starting tomorrow is going to hamper his ability to start the All-Star game at all?
It might. Typically, it's the pitchers on Sunday who remove themselves from consideration. But I think if you start Saturday, Tuesday is probably a throw day anyway. Tuesday, of course, being the night of the All-Star game.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, Lugo probably can give an inning.
I mean, he's going to go, 15, 25 max?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's probably just like a side session for him is how he'll treat it. So,
yeah.
I wouldn't expect him to get too deep into his 8-pitch bag. Just kind of treat it like a throw day, because it is at the end an exhibition game. But I don't think that will impact his availability. I hope it doesn't, because he is a deserving candidate to start the All-Star game for the American League. These are 2 of the very best starting rotations in baseball this year. MLB Network had the numbers on this. It's pretty interesting how similar the numbers are. The Royals starters this year have a 3.5 ERA. Boston's not far behind, 3.63. Each staff with an identical 8.8 strikeouts per 9. Royals walk just a tick more, but both are right around 2.5 walks per 9. The big difference has been depth. The Red Sox have some guys who are kind of 5 and fly. The Royals, as we've talked about all year, have reliably gotten 6 innings from their starting pitchers. 47 quality starts this year in 94 games. That's half the games that the Royals have gotten a quality start in this year. And if that continues this weekend, they're going to have a chance, I think, against the lineup. Boston, I think, has some legitimate star power in the lineup. Rafael Devers and Jarren Duran, both all-stars this year, though Devers isn't going to play, has already opted out of the game. But I think there are a lot of guys overperforming that are floating the offense behind those 2 guys.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that stops this weekend, seeing the best of the best that the Royals have to offer.
I'm excited about this weekend. I don't know. I think we're in a stage where you say you got to keep winning these series. If you go 1-2 in the next 3 games, is it going to sink your season? No, obviously not. But you've got a lot of momentum right now. Coming off that Cardinals series, the Guardian series was not that long ago. You're still trying to ride high off of that, trying to go into the break with a lot of positivity. I don't know if you need to win 2 out of 3, but I think that would do a lot of good for this team. Going into 4 days off, getting some time off. Are they back at home right out of the break?
Yeah.
They're playing the White Sox.
White Sox, that's right.
Long homestand.
Because I'm going to the game next Saturday.
That's right. The weekend series against
Coffin
the White Sox.
Yeah.
I'll be there on Sunday next week.
MIAA day, right?
MIAA day. You know that's right.
And then your team's coming in the next weekend, right?
Yeah, okay. I wanted to bring this up. I will not be attending one of those games. I just started a mortgage. I do not need a second one to afford tickets to that game. Cubs always are pricey when they travel. They've got whose bobblehead is it this weekend? Or that weekend?
Is it Sal?
It's Miguel Garcia on Saturday. Oh, the weekend after? I don't know.
The Cubs weekend.
Yeah, I don't know.
The Friday of the Cubs series.
Is it Salvi?
No, it's not Salvi. I think it's Witt.
It might be.
Or is it Mahomes?
Oh, it's Mahomes. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's Patrick Mahomes. Okay, if I'm the Royals, they've got decent attendance this year, and it's been solid throughout the summer. I'm not doing a bobblehead giveaway for when the Cubs come into town. That place is going to be packed regardless. I'm doing that when the Diamondbacks come in earlier that week. There are no Diamondbacks fans for 400 miles.
Yeah, no kidding.
I'm getting people to the game with a Mahomes bobblehead that day.
Yeah.
You don't need when the Cubs come to town. People are going anyway.
Yeah, give away like pencils or something when the Cubs are in town.
It made a lot of sense to do the HDH bobblehead weekend when it was the A's series.
Right.
No one's coming to see the A's, but you went to go get a Greg Holland bobblehead, or you got Holland or Davis?
I got Davis. I need Holland. I need a Greg Holland bobblehead.
Former Rocky.
If anybody has one, hit my line. Top email supply text line 785-272-9429. Maybe I'll trade you one of my my collection for a Greg Holland bobblehead. Unless you got an extra you just want to give me.
I'm getting Miguel Garcia next Saturday.
Okay,
That's a good one.
Your first Royals bobblehead.
Yeah.
There you go.
First game, first bobblehead.
Yeah, start building that collection. We all have a long way to go to catch Gene Castle, the SID at
The GOAT.
Washburn.
No, he's bobblehead GOAT.
Yeah, the king of bobbleheads. Big series for the Royals. If they sweep, they will be in a playoff position going into the All-Star break. If they win the series, they'll be tied with the Red Sox
Take that.
for that final wild card spot. It is a winnable series with your three best starters lined up. Of course, we said that going into Colorado last weekend. It didn't work out. Hopefully, though, the Royals offense is in a better place. They got rolling against the Cardinals in that doubleheader. They've scored 24 runs in their last 3 games. If that continues into the weekend, they're going to have the opportunity to take this series. It's a big one for the Royals, trying to make a statement at Fenway Park going into the All-Star break. Again, pregame at 5:30, and the first pitch at 6:10 from Fenway Park. We'll have it right here for you on 580 WIBW. That does it for the 4 o'clock hour of the program. We've got one more half hour of the show today. We've got our 580 Sports Talk headlines coming up, so stay with us. Remember, we're live on video on YouTube, 580 Sports Talk. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Be a part of the YouTube live chat. You can also watch us on Twitter, 580 Sports Talk, and on Facebook at WIBW News. We appreciate you watching and listening on this Friday afternoon. We've got one more half hour of the show from the Kansas Drive to Zero studio right here on 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. Final half hour of the week here on 580 Sports Talk. Dan, Brendan, Spencer, we're with you for one more half hour. Really, we're down to like 20 minutes, and then we're clocking out early for this Friday edition as we are handing things off to the Royals Radio Network, Royals Baseball Network, excuse me. Pregame at 5:30, first pitch at 6:10 from Boston, the Royals and the Red Sox. A big series, an important series in the American League wildcard race as the Royals wrap up the pre-All-Star break portion of their schedule with 3 games in Boston prior to next week's 4-day All-Star sabbatical. We thank you for joining us on 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, and online at 580WIBW.com. We also appreciate those watching our video stream on Twitter at 580 Sports Talk, on Facebook at WIBW News, and on on YouTube, 580 Sports Talk. Subscribe to the YouTube channel today. All it costs you is a click, and it makes us very, very happy. We love seeing that number go up. Top State Metal Supply text line open as well, 785-272-9429. I think I may have inadvertently started a bobblehead exchange on the Top State Metal Supply text line.
Oh?
If anybody would like to offload their bobbleheads, particularly if they are of Colorado Rockies players, holler at your boy. I will display them.
Do you have a favorite?
A favorite bobblehead?
Yeah, that you own?
That I own? So I have very rarely ever gone to a game with the express desire to get a bobblehead.
Mm-hmm.
The way Davis won, because he's one of my favorite players ever, but I made it a point to get out to the K in 2019 to get the Danny Duffy and his husky dog bobblehead. Forget the name of his dog now, but I got the Danny Duffy bobblehead and the dog's head bobbles.
What was it? Sadie?
I want to say it was something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah, that's my favorite one.
Yeah, I don't have a massive number of them. My favorite, I've got one. It's 3 players on one base. It's Kyle Hendricks, Jake Arrieta, and John Lester all together.
Sick.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
Yeah, really cool.
Yeah, mine, I actually acquired, I don't know if I told you this, I acquired a bunch of my Nationals ones from the last few years.
Yeah, you were telling me about this.
In a very interesting way. So at the last station I worked with, we were Nationals Radio Network affiliates, and they send swag bags. But where we are, there's not, if the Nationals aren't going good, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to be following the Nationals.
Right.
So they were just sitting there. So I took a few. I was allowed to take a few. I didn't just take whatever. Yeah. So I got a lot of mine because of my last station being affiliated with the Nats Radio Network.
Yeah.
But one that I really like, which I think broke. Yeah, broke. I had a Anthony Rendon garden gnome.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
The real Anthony Rendon has similar infield range these days.
It's funny because he's broken. He's no longer really a major league player.
Yeah, that's a fact. All right, we don't have a ton of time for our 580 Sports Talk headlines, so let's go ahead and hit these hard and fast. We will start with the big news. Kansas City's royal family is adding another member. Patrick Mahomes and wife are expecting baby number 3.
Brittany
is her name. I blew past her name, not intentionally. I just forgot her name, man. I'm sorry.
No, it happens.
Dad brain. Apologies to Brittany Mahomes, who is a businesswoman in her own right. Patrick and Brittany expecting baby number 3. Posted some pictures. NFL Twitter account tweeted them out earlier today. So he will match his kids and Super Bowl rings total. He will keep them 1 and 1 for the time being. This will be child number 3. He's got 3 rings.
All right, what precious metal are they going to go with?
What are his kids' names?
So his daughter is Sterling.
Okay.
His son is Patrick the Third.
So they call him Bronze because he's the 3rd.
Get it? His dog is Steel, and his other dog is Silver, I believe.
So it's going to be Golden something, right?
Yeah, I don't know which one of the couple. Maybe they both love it, but
they're gonna name Goldie. Nickname Goldie.
Yeah.
Here is the real question.
Got a bank on having another blonde kid.
Yeah.
Here is the real question. What is Patrick Mahomes chasing? What all-time great quarterback does he want to catch? Does he want to catch Peyton Manning and his 5 MVPs? Does he want to catch Tom Brady and his 7 Super Bowls? Or does he want to catch Phillip Rivers and his 10 children? Which one is it?
I knew where that was going immediately. Is it 10 now for
I'm
Phillip
pretty sure it's 10.
Yeah, good for him. Phillip with 1 L Rivers.
Texter on the Top City Metal Supply text line from the 785 said kid's name will be Platinum.
Yeah, there you go.
Could be platinum.
That could be.
That one makes sense.
Yeah, that would qualify. So that's the big Chiefs news today. Patrick Mahomes' wife, Brittany, who is a person with a name. My apologies. That's embarrassing. But she is pregnant, and the Mahomes family will be growing by one. I didn't catch when the due date was, or when. I don't know if anybody knows.
I don't know. I don't know if it was
they
announced.
posted that.
You want to share the other Mahomes headline too?
Yeah, he won Best Male Athlete at the ESPYs. Andy Reid accepted on his behalf. That's the Mahomes headline. I care so little about the ESPYs. It's unbelievable.
No, okay, but
Plat Mahomes. Plat Mahomes.
Plat Mahomes. That's funny.
That's good from the 913 on the Top City Middle Supply text.
That's really good. Well done. We talked about it yesterday and mentioned it to Matt earlier that the ESPYs themselves are just kind of a dumb concept. But the whole point of it was, it's on the Wednesday after the All-Star game. Nothing is happening.
Yes.
There's very rarely a soccer game that day. There's very rarely a WNBA game, at least at night. There's nothing happening, so we can actually focus on it. You might even talk about it. There was baseball on last night.
Yes.
But by the way, real quick side note, one of the lowest scoring days of the baseball season, losers across Major League Baseball yesterday averaged 1.08 runs a game.
Wow.
Yeah, 6 shutouts across baseball yesterday.
Wow.
But no one cared. Nobody cared at all. Bizarre. Truly bizarre decision making.
I was sitting there last night and I was like, oh yeah, the ESPYs are on, and my girlfriend was like, do you want to watch it? I was like, no.
Yeah,
I'll catch the highlights on YouTube if I really want to watch it.
SportsCenter re-aired Steve Gleason's speech. He was the Courage Award winner. The former New Orleans Saint blocked the punt in the return to the Superdome and against the Falcons, and now is suffering through or fighting ALS. Let's use different language there. He's fighting ALS, and it's an incredible story. That stuff always is worth the TV time and is worth watching. The rest is just
the only thing I saw that went viral last night was the Williams sisters saying, "Watch women's sports, except you, Harrison Butker. We don't need you." That was the only thing.
I did not see that.
Yeah, that was the only thing that went viral. Was I think it was Serena saying, "Yeah, watch women's sports because they're good sports." And Venus, I think it was Venus, said, "Except you, Harrison Butker. We don't need you."
He was apparently there. I saw somebody say they saw him on the red carpet.
Oh, wild!
Yeah.
Because I would assume the Chiefs were up for best team.
You're probably
so usually right. you have to have so many representatives from the team there.
Yeah, it could be.
That could make sense. All right, next headline, Brendan.
Next one for me. We've been speculating that this might happen, but it is official. Paul Skeens, the rookie starting pitcher for the Pittsburgh Pirates, he is going to start the All-Star game for the National League. This is the right call. Okay, for baseball's sake, not only is he great, but you want to build up big stars, right? You want people to get attached to talented players, to good players. Paul Skeens made his debut in mid-May. He has already put up over 3 wins above replacement this year. He is 6-0 in 11 starts with a 1.90 ERA. He also threw 7 no-hit innings with 11 strikeouts his last time out. 89 strikeouts already for him this season. He is, again, a starting pitcher, averaging over 12 strikeouts per 9 innings. You want him to be in front of everyone if you are Major League Baseball.
Give him the spotlight.
I want him to be in front of everyone all the time because he is that good. So this is the right call, both in terms of marketing and in terms of been the best pitcher in the National League.
Yeah, I think he is. I think right now, right this second, I can't think of another pitcher in the National League I would rather have start a game, a do-or-die game, than Paul Skeens.
Wheeler has been really good. He's kind of banged up, though. He might not pitch in the All-Star game.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only other one I would have listened to. Best pitcher, best team, and he's been legitimately really good.
And outside of Shohei Ohtani, I guess, but he doesn't really count because he's not actively pitching.
Right.
There is not a more prominent active pitcher in the American League right now, or the National League right now, than Paul Skeens. And maybe not in all of baseball, because he's got the rookie sensation thing. He's got the strikeout numbers. He's got the famous girlfriend. Like, that goes a long way with the younger fans, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, everybody knows Livy.
Yeah.
So, like,
she rizzed up Baby Gronk.
She did. Even
she's returning for another year.
Even hugged Baby Gronk.
Yeah, it was like breaking news that she's going to go back to LSU for another year.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think he is, as far as pitchers go, he is the one most deserving. We had Christopher in the YouTube live chat ask us about this earlier on the show. And I said at the time, look, there is nobody, with all due respect to the outstanding and talented pitchers who have made this game, there is no one I want to see pitch more than Paul Skeens.
Yes.
Nobody. And we had text from 785 says Chris Sale's having a really good year for Atlanta. He is. He's having an outstanding year. He might be right now the front runner for the Cy Young just because he's got a bigger body of work, 17 starts to Skeens' 11. But Skeens is blowing guys away. I mean, we have one here from the 785. He's good. He's good until the league catches up to him. I don't know, man. He's throwing 102 miles an hour with a filthy split and a slider in the 90s. Like, is there a risk of arm injury? Yes, because there's a risk of arm injury for every pitcher.
Everyone.
But 89 strikeouts in 66 in the third innings. Sometimes the league doesn't catch up. Sometimes you're just that good.
You're just great.
Yeah, like that good right off rip. And I think he is. I think he's one of those guys. By the way, last rookie to start an all-star game on the mound. Any guesses?
Valenzuela.
Great guess. Not
I have
quite.
no clue.
Great.
More recent?
Yes.
Nomo.
That's right. Hideo Nomo,
okay.
1995.
Yeah.
Good call.
Yeah.
I wasn't alive. I
trivia.
wasn't alive, so I wouldn't really know.
Yeah, fair is
Okay,
fair.
well, I
You
was
don't-
not even one.
Yeah. You guys,
That's true.
let me tell you, Nomo Mania was something. Like everybody, every kid, everywhere doing the Nomo windup.
Yeah.
Imitating it, completely throwing off their own mechanics. Spencer, give us a headline.
Yes, last year it was quarterback. This year it's receiver, number 1 on Netflix right now in the U.S. Omaha Productions NFL Films. It hit number 1 in the first couple of days of streaming. I have gone through episode 1. It is pretty good through episode 1, I will say.
So I don't have as much interest in watching this as I did quarterback. 1, because Mahomes was on the quarterback series, and 2, because I just think quarterbacks are more interesting than wide receivers. That being said, I have heard that it is worth the watch only to see how over it Davante Adams is with regards to
that's the next episode.
His quarterback and his coach.
Yeah, so I have seen some stuff on Twitter today. I know a couple guys who work out in Las Vegas who have said something to the effect of, like, things are bad because this has also spurred on a lot of talk because Davante Adams was asked about Aaron Rodgers when he was on with Kay Adams this week. Rodgers, out of nowhere, said he wants to play with Davante Adams again this week. Yeah, I bet you do, buddy.
Someone else, Garrett Wilson, just said like a little while ago, somehow it's on PFF or PFT, that he wouldn't mind having another receiver with him.
Well, I'm sure he wouldn't. I mean, you're talking about a maybe Hall of Famer here.
Yeah.
From what I know, from the guys I know who actually work in sports media in Las Vegas, Davante's frustration is solely with, like, Josh McDaniels and his garbage quarterbacks. He loves Las Vegas. He ain't leaving unless they move on from him. But yeah, I mean, I would hate playing for Josh McDaniels. Wouldn't you?
Yes. 100%. 100%. All right. We will do some more headlines here real quick. My next headline for me, the Major League Baseball entry draft is on Sunday. The Kansas City Royals picked 6th overall in the entry draft, and hopefully for the Royals will be the last time they pick that high for a good long while. I would tell you who the consensus number 1 pick is, but there isn't one. Like, it is a lot of mystery. You read 3 different mock drafts, have 3 different answers. Kylie McDaniel of ESPN released his today, has Cleveland with the number 1 pick, taking West Virginia shortstop J.J. Weatherholt. It could also be Georgia third baseman Charlie Condon. It could also be Oregon State second baseman Travis Bazzana. It's probably going to be one of those 3. Jack Caglianone, the double threat, the pitcher and first baseman from Florida, could also go number 1. I don't think any of those guys are getting to Kansas City at number 6, but again, there's so little consensus that there's a very real chance that could happen. McDaniel's draft has the Royals taking Wake Forest right-hander Chase Burns with the number 6 pick. Chase Burns could pitch in the major leagues this year. If the Royals drafted Burns, that could be a Brandon Finnegan type situation where he could very realistically help the bullpen in August and September of this season. He's that good. If that's who the Royals take, look out for him. Also a possibility, maybe you remember Kansas State getting the best of him in the regionals of the NCAA baseball tournament. Arkansas left-hander Hagen Smith could be an option for Kansas City there. He struck out like 17 batters per 9 this year.
Yeah, good player.
K-State got him, though. All right, next headline. We'll go quick here. Brendan, you've got another one.
All right, last one for me here from the NBA. Jalen Brunson, who is awesome. A really good player. We know a national champion 2 times over from Villanova, former National Player of the Year. he would have been eligible for a $200+ million extension if he signed a deal with the Knicks next year. He was still under contract for this coming season. A deal next year would have been a 5-year maximum length extension that would have cost, what would that have been? $269 million. Instead, he elected essentially to give the Knicks more financial flexibility now. He signed today a 4-year deal, so it'll be 2 years earlier that he's a free agent versus next year's deal, for just $156 million. That is $113 million less than he would have had guaranteed to him if he waited until next season. Now, the upside of this is it's only a few years from now. He'll be able to get to free agency a little bit quicker. He can double dip and get another massive mega $300+ million contract again before his career is over. But it again gives the Knicks a little bit more financial flexibility. Now, a lot of reaction to this. Knicks fans are fired up. He was great for them. He loves that team. He's the best player on that team. And now they can probably add another player or two, or at least one decent role player. So Knicks fans are thrilled. I have seen some fans, including a friend of mine who's a Celtics fan, who won't admit that he's coping, but is definitely coping, say that, the union is going to have to step in on this. Nah, man, the player gets to decide.
The player does get to decide. I'm sure the union isn't thrilled.
Oh, I'm sure they're PO'd. I'm sure they're furious. I don't know who the president of the NBPA is, but I'm sure they're furious about this. This is the new collective bargaining agreement, though, with the second apron and the hard capping and all that. A player like Jalen Brunson, who's already made a ton of money and knows he'll make $300 million more in his career when this deal is done, can say, you know what? Screw it. Fine. I like being here. I want to win. I'll do it.
Yeah.
And no one is crying for Jalen Brunson that he's only making $156 million. That's not what I'm trying to say.
Only $40 million a year, but you're giving back money, and typically the union doesn't like their players to give money back. We got to take one more break here on this edition of 580 Sports Talk. We're wrapping things up a little early to get out for Royals baseball. The final word is next.
I'll agree to that.
Wrapping up this shortened edition of 580 Sports Talk. We got Royals baseball coming up at the bottom of the hour. But before that, a final word. Brendan, lead us off.
Big weekend opportunity for the Kansas City Royals. You don't need to sweep the Red Sox here, but it sure would feel pretty sweet if you were able to take at least 2 out of 3 from the Red Sox. And the fact that you've got your best trio of starters going should make you feel at least fairly comfortable. Yes, you have to go to Fenway, but still, when you've got Cole Reagan, Seth Lugo, and Brady Singer, for as many qualms as I sometimes have about him, if you can run with those 3 guys back to back to back, you've got to feel pretty confident about any series. This one would do a lot of good for the team going into the break.
Spencer Dupuis, final word.
A series win for the Royals would be huge. Can't say any more than what Brennan said about that. For me, I get a weekend back like I used to have before. Weekend to myself.
Bachelor weekend?
Yeah, my girlfriend's at her apparently my Siri wanted to go off. My girlfriend's at a bachelorette party this weekend, so
nice.
I'm about to go get me some Culver's for dinner.
That's what's up.
Hell yeah.
Cheese curds?
No.
What? Oh, have you tried them?
No.
Oh, you should.
I might.
They're delicious.
Yeah, you should
They're
definitely.
That is my
very
final word. Epic and fun. If you know, you know.
All right. Final word for me. Jay Norvell, the head coach of Kansas State, raised the hackles of some Kansas
Colorado
State fans. Did I say Kansas State?
Yes.
I'm getting to Kansas State. Jay Norvell coaches Colorado State. Dad brain, my apologies. And he raised the hackles of some K-State fans by suggesting that K-State had come after his top wide receiver and his starting quarterback with substantial NIL packages. Maybe that's true, maybe that isn't. But any K-State fan attacking Norvell for saying that all out loud at Mountain West Conference football media days is focused on the wrong thing. Focused on the fact that Kansas State clearly intends to be a major, major player in the NIL space. We have said it since the new Big 12 took shape. There is a power vacuum. There is an opportunity for a program to rise up. And frankly, the Big 12 needs a program to rise up and be the signature program in the league. And Kansas State, based on all of the moves they have made on and off the field, seems intent on being exactly that. That should fire you up if you are a Cat fan, that they are intent on running with the big dogs NIL-wise and making the kind of financial commitment it's going to take to be a championship contender in the league and maybe nationally as well.
To be honest with you, I kind of wish they had gotten Torrey Horton.
Oh, yeah. Torrey Horton's awesome.
Would have been nice.
I like
Awesome
Chase
player.
Brown, but I like Torrey Horton more.
Yeah, Torrey Horton would have been wide receiver 1 with a bullet. That's going to do it for 580 Sports Talk on this Friday. We're handing off to Royals baseball, 5:30 pregame, 6:10 first pitch. We are back with you on Monday from 2 to 6 on the first day of the All-Star break. What the hell are we going to talk about? We'll figure it out. For Brendan, for Spencer, I'm Dan Lucero. This has been 580 Sports Talk from the Kansas Drive to Zero studio.